Hey guys, welcome to another thing of Blackwood Brothers.
He just said, hey, we gotta laugh. We have a really good show tonight, you guys. And he just said Blackwood's brother. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
that's an honor of my man over here.
Thank you. Hey, high five. Ouch. Oh, we just did that across Mayor Sean.
Yeah. Mayor Sean Drinkwine
Drinkwine.
from Estacadas here with us.
But this is Joel.
Yep, and I'm Joel, and that's Tony.
Yeah.
And we weren't expecting a clapping audience in the background.
But I absolutely love that.
I loved it. It threw me
too.
off.
Gives me a big head.
I love live. That's
Yes.
the best part.
We're glad that you're joining us tonight, you guys. So we have a action-packed night, as you just witnessed yourself.
Yes.
So you want to tune in for the whole 2 hours.
Yep.
We invite questions, right?
Oh yes, start sending questions now for Mayor Drinkwine. We also have Mayor Brian Hodges out of Canby. And
Canby.
We also have Mayor Stan Pulliam out of Sandy, or if you believe some of their articles out there, out of Canby also. And they'll be coming up in different orders, and then we'll be pulling them all together, and then we'll be doing all the question and answer stuff there too.
And I think Stan's going to announce tonight something. Okay.
No.
I really can't say that. No.
Every interview.
He's going to announce that he's here tonight. So there you go. That'd be awesome.
We've been bugging him to try to announce, but he's doing it methodically and online. So
he's awesome.
So, Sean.
Oh, it's my turn?
Oh, yes.
All right. Again, I've learned not to speak out of turn because people will throw stuff at you. So I'm trying to be kind.
Hey, there might actually be things that get thrown at you from off stage.
That's right.
We're a show that you can be who you are. So why don't we just turn you kind of loose to let us know a little bit about you? Because, we think we know about you.
Well, you think you know.
And
about
you told us a lot about you during your interview, too.
Yeah.
So people can watch that to get the in-depths, but this maybe gives a quick 5-minute breakdown.
Oh, 5-minute breakdown. That should be easy.
Who Sean is on the inside, the inner child.
Well, Sean's the same person you see every day walking through your city. I'm the guy that shakes your hand, the guy that helps your family, the guy that helps clean up your yard if you need it.
Yeah.
The guy that shows up on council night every other Monday and tries to figure out the trials and tribulations of our city and its growth. It hasn't changed much. I've done this for years now, as a counselor for 8 years, and then as a mayor for 4 already, working on my 5th.
Yeah.
I pride myself on being a good mayor and a mayor of the people, and that's what I've continued to do and tried to be good at. Sometimes I've slipped here and there, but along the way I've learned a lot, and I wouldn't want to do anything else. It's a job that you grow to love.
Sean, you said something in your video, and I hope people captured that, but it was, I am them and they are me. Can you explain that a little bit more? Because I was really intrigued by that statement.
Well, it's the thing, the feelings, it's what I'm out there for. I am out there for them, and they are out there for me. We're all combined, it's everything that we do for each other. There is no, him and me. It's all together. We're all about each other. We're out there fighting for the same things, for a good job, for our family, for a good home to live in, good schools to go to, good health care, everything. It's all in one. So that's kind of what that statement means. I mean, we're all doing the same thing. So there's no separation there. And lately we've seen more and more of that separation out there. I mean, we see it in Portland, we see it in surrounding cities around Oregon. And I think we got to get back to what Oregon really is. It's a beautiful state with a lot to offer. We were there once. Let's get back to that. Because that's what it's really all about. And Estacade is just a piece of that bigger picture.
A piece of that bigger picture.
Yeah.
One of the things is, he said, we're kind of all in the same boat. You are a person.
Yeah.
And you have some real life things that happen to you, and all you can bring to the table is you.
Right.
So when you come to the table as mayor, I'm sure you bring your own experiences.
Oh, I try, living my life. And if people took the time to know me a little bit better, they'd know some of it. And I've explained some of it in my video, and some of it people go, how can that be? How could he be this person, and then still be the person that was poor, lived in a house with no roof, had a brother who was black, had a sister who was German, another sister who was Greek. How can this be? It's not that same guy, right? But this is that guy. And this guy has never changed. Nobody's ever asked me who I am. They just accept who I am. But to really get to know me, it's something you'd have to walk up and ask me.
I think that's the big thing, is that people don't take the time to actually ask the questions or get to know. They just want to take things at face value and assume. And I think it's what's so quick today is, or they'll just find what someone else might tell them on the internet because it's easier.
Yeah.
Rather than take 5 minutes and say, hey, tell me about this, or let me ask you this question. Approach
Exactly.
us, give us a call, give us an email, type of thing. That type of thing. It's where no one does that.
Yeah, and that's the truth of it. I mean, my Facebook page has been open since day one. When I opened as a counselor, I tried to get into everything. I was in every group. I volunteered for everything. I wanted to know everything there was in this city and how we could better it.
Yeah.
And I worked for that every day of my life. That's all I've ever done. And then as the mayor, it's just a extension of that. It's the same thing. You're helping your city the best way you know how.
Yeah.
Doing the things you think are right. And you hope that in the end of this, that it'll all work out and that everybody will be on the same page and then we'll all get along. And I think we're there now. I mean, we're all working out those kinks, trying to get on the same page. And I feel like, as we go through these hurdles, and there's a lot of them, believe me, it seems like every week for the last couple of years it's been that way.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that we look at these and we try to work ourselves through these because these are what make our city even better.
Yes.
It's a growing experience, right?
Yeah. Well, you get paid to do this, right?
Oh yes, a fortune.
A
Yes,
fortune.
A fortune, yes.
Yeah, no, let's be clear about that. There are a few mayors who get paid in the state of Oregon, but those are cities that are larger, of course, and have more populace.
Like
Estacada is not one of those.
I think it's Portland, Salem, and I think
Can be.
Okay.
He's a highly paid mayor.
highly paid mayor.
Oh yeah.
Coming up next.
No, I'm kidding.
I think they deliver Mayor Hodgson's paycheck in an armored
You betcha.
truck.
You betcha. And his sewer might suffer a little, but that's okay. He's all about that. No, I got to throw pitches back there because they're coming up. So.
Yeah,
Oh, yes,
yeah,
exactly.
definitely.
I want to make sure I get all mine in.
What
when
you
they
guys
ask
don't
me.
see is on the back half we have the other two mayors sitting there.
Yeah.
And they're actually making faces at him too.
Yeah.
So tell me this, Mayor Drinkwine. So you were talking about how you were just kind of getting along and everybody's just kind of getting there and stuff. How does it feel as being a leader of a city when you feel like we're kind of getting there and then you get these random left out of the curveball things of someone wanting to, I don't know, throwing up, calling you a racist or doing something like that, or is some these kind of out of the left field type of things. I mean, how do you handle that?
Well, I can't say there's a book about it. I wish there would have been a book when I came into this thing that told me how to handle these situations because believe me, the racist card that was used against me during that whole upheaval of racism that was going on across the state, and I think a lot of cities were suffering from that, was a total shocker to me. I would have never thought in a million years. I mean, just recently my brother had lived with me, and he was very happy here in Estacada, and of course, he's black.
Yes.
But he was very content in the city, and he lived here for quite a while with us in our home.
A couple years, right?
Yeah. And then we found him a nice home because he wanted to live down where the city was, and we weren't busy enough for him. So we moved him down into Clackamas, which he adores. I mean, you can get to the mall and stuff, and he loves that. But, the idea that, all this time that I've been out there, my brother's been around. I mean, in my business with me, and nobody's ever asked the question until now, until racism comes to the table. And then they're going to come out and say that I'm racist. And that I think there was a comment on your last show that said, do we really know he's telling the truth? That hurts.
Yeah. Do we
That
really know
hurts.
he's telling the truth?
Yeah. Because if you took the time to learn who he is, me, then you would know that I'm telling the truth. And every day I come out here, I tell the truth to you, the citizens, because that's what I got in this for.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It has to hurt to be called something based on what we call the game of telephone.
Oh, the game of telephone and the internet is so strong now.
Yes.
When I was coming into this, when Facebook first came onto the headlines, people were using Facebooks for everything, and things that took days to hear about now take minutes to hear about.
Yeah.
That was kind of a shocker for me. That was a little thing, but I thought it was great. People could get in and get in touch with what's happening, but it also works the other way.
Yes.
Facebook can be a weapon, and it has turned into one back
Yes.
and forth.
Yes.
It seems like there's everybody wants to be a little bit bigger on Facebook. They grow this falsetto backbone to be able to step up. The keyboard warriors have been so easily titled, and they'll say whatever what they want to say, something they'd never say to your face. There's just horrible things on there, and things that they don't even that aren't even true. And even if they know it's not true, they'll still go that route. And it just like if they met you face to face, they'll smile at you. They won't say anything. It's because they feel like they can have this fake, fake approach because they don't have to feel like they have to be accountable to what they say.
Exactly, and as I said in my interview, I've worked beside these people for years on all kinds of nonprofit and groups in the city that we worked side by side, and there was never an issue, never an issue. I worked with all these people, and without a second's concern, they never. I mean, everybody was always content, and all of a sudden we bring racism into it, right? And all of a sudden I'm enemy number one with the same people who stood hand in hand with me on many occasions doing things around the city to make our city a better place.
Yeah.
That's the part that hurts.
Yeah.
That's the part you don't get over because these people now look at me differently. They walk the other way on the street. Why? Because they think I'm this person or they've been told I'm this person. Right?
A lot of it is group think, and I know a lot of people are going to get mad at me about this, but a lot of it is group think. Just like our video depicted this week, how I was actually watching the video that we put out just this last week a little bit more and more and more just to see if I could see something. And what I noticed is Joel playing the mayor. He said, "We don't have the finances for Purple Flowers." And then a voice came out from the crowd, I won't say who she is, but says, he doesn't like Purple Flowers. Well, he didn't say that, did he? He said, we don't have the funding for Purple Flowers. But in actuality, the voice heard, he doesn't like Purple Flowers. Sure. So and then the crowd took off from there. Yeah. And so see how that can happen is that someone hears something and then they take it and it circulates and it percolates, and then you have this group mass think that happens.
And it changes the whole dynamic because what wasn't that becomes that.
Yeah.
And that's the part that really, as a small city, we've got to get past. There's no room for that, no time for that. Yeah. Our city is growing so fast, whether we like it or not, right?
Yep, people are coming in left and right.
And culturally speaking, I got to say, we are very mixed in our city.
Absolutely.
And more so every day. And that's a great thing. So why is it we're fighting about something that isn't really existing? We do not have a racist problem here. We do not. Sure, there are racists.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. There are.
Yes.
Yep.
I will never say there's not.
Yes.
But our city is not suffering from that.
That's right.
As a whole.
That's right.
Okay? And there are areas in our city that might have a problem that we need to work on. I get that. And we can do that together. But separating ourselves into different groups and saying we're for this and we're not for that, is ridiculous.
Yes.
We cannot solve the issues apart. We have to come together to do that.
What would be the message that you could put out that would begin that process? I mean, I know you put it out over and over and over, but can you say it here?
Well, the message is that we've got to stop. We've got to stop this hatred that we have for either side and come together on one page and talk about the issues at hand now and how we're going to help with these, all of us together. Yeah. Such as I've brought up to our city recently that I'd like to have a summit where all the nonprofits, all the groups come together. We all talk about what we're working on and how each one of those can link together to get it done. Believe you me, if we do that in our city, we will become the city to be admired.
So
I promise you that.
Fighting you, we should
instead
fight
of fighting
with you.
all of
Exactly.
us, we come together on the same page and work for a better cause.
It's a great idea. It's it's when I think the biggest thing is over the last couple of years is the lack of communication. Communication is just taking a nosedive. Yeah. People aren't talking. People aren't trying to find a way to find that common ground and work together. So it's just it breaks it down when you're not talking. When you, especially, I mean, it's even harder when we've had the separation because so much of communication comes between the body language, facial expressions, vocal tones. You can't read a text and know everything that how someone portraying something across.
Well, it's impersonal.
Exactly.
I mean, I would rather shake a person's hand and ask them how their family's doing, and in that instant know who they really are, than to sit on a text and go back and forth and try to figure out who this person is.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. The personal piece has been heavily lost.
Yeah,
with all
that. It has.
I mean, even when you meet someone face to face today, and I know we have the mandates for masks and stuff, but you still don't even see half their face to get that part there, so it's still hard to get that communication. I'm looking forward to the day when the mandates are actually lifted, and we can walk out there free and actually see each other's faces fully and get that full communication
Sure.
back.
Sure.
So
I think I'm looking forward to that same day because there was a day when I knew everybody's face, you know, and I would like to get back to that. I think that brings truth to what we do and who we are as a city.
exactly.
So I'm game for that. But no, I think our city's on the right track. I think we're headed in the right direction. Like I said, it's a growing pain,
Yeah.
and I think we'll get through this. And I'm hoping people will start to listen rather than hate, and we can come to the table under one roof and figure out the issues that we need to work on and probably solve most of those.
Yeah.
I have a feeling.
The awesome thing is you have a feeling, and also the proof's in the pudding because you're in office for another 4 years. So that
Or 2 years.
Or
We're only a 2-year term.
Oh, 2 years. Well, another 2 years. See, I got it wrong there. But I'm trying to put you in for 4. But
No,
another 2 years.
That's good. I appreciate that.
Another 2 years. So that had to come from some type of voice that said, "Let's do this."
I think it did. And you know, there's some. Like I said, we're suffering from such hate right now. I would say there's the one side that says, "Oh, I didn't vote for him," and the other side that says, "Oh, we made sure he was in there." And then you have this animosity in there that says, "But like I said, you know, if you look back on the years that I've spent as a counselor and as a mayor in this city, and the people I've known, doesn't matter what side of the political venue you're on, I've been with every one of those hand in hand, working for the betterment of Estacada." So that's what you should be looking at when you elect your mayors or your counselors or anybody in there.
Okay.
You know, so
You know, find the person that's going to stand in the gap, the one that wants to try to find that common ground.
that's right.
So yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I believe you've been an excellent example of that, despite what some people may have tried to portray you as. So
Yeah.
we got a few comments have come in for some people.
Okay.
Some people. One person says people are always saying people are racist. It's ridiculous. Another person says amen. So, and another person says hi. So
Okay.
It's
That's a very
always
short
good.
list. I
Yeah.
expected a little bit more out
well,
there.
they take a little bit to warm up. Trust me.
Okay, all right.
By the end,
Yeah.
when we bring everybody on together and after we get the other chance to hang
Well,
out with the other mayors, we'll
You
go
know,
back.
our audience is around that dinner time for some.
Yeah.
So make sure you're making sure things are on where they need to be, but grab it and put it in front of you and keep on watching and keep on engaging. That's what we want you to do. So
That's right.
Oh, of course. And so one person says, "You three are what we need in this small community. So glad you're fighting for everything we need." So
Good. See,
and
that's
I
the
think
kind of
it's-
thing you like to hear.
I think it's important to hear that because there are people out there. There's things that people don't see, like during the winter ice storm.
yeah.
You were out there helping to cut trees and patrolling and doing things out there to kind of help people out during.
While his own home was cold.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember that.
We didn't have heat for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was out of power, but he was out there working to get those things done. During
heard
the
of
fires, you were out there. People didn't see you most of the time, but you were definitely out there. You were out here every day. You were working stuff. You were moving things around. There were, the fire center was actually something that came birthed from a concept you started.
It did. You know, I saw what ECW was doing,
Mm-hmm.
and being a person who was in the city when the fires had come, we'd already had evacuated everybody out of the city. So I had no city staff, no people to work with. So realistically, you know, we were sitting there, we were looking, the fire was there, we needed a place. ECW was ready, and I said to you, I turned to you and I said, "Joel, is this something you can handle? Can you put it together?" And we proceeded to do that, and the ECW was born into the relief center, and it worked very well. And we were able to pull this off. Now, would I want to do it again really soon? No, it was hard. It was hard. But was it something that we accomplished? And I think it stood out across the United States. I mean, people were seeing you on all news channels left and right about what you guys have accomplished.
Oh, we think we had news channels there from Japan, Switzerland, England.
Wow.
There was a whole bunch there. I think it was Australian one there at one point.
Yeah.
They wanted to see what was going on here. It had literally what Estacada had done. I don't even want to say ECW. I want to say what Estacada had done. The people.
Well, it's
of
definitely Estacada, no matter how you play it out.
Yeah, exactly. It's the people of Estacada. What they did, that went worldwide.
It did. It did.
How we were able to work together and fight for our city.
Well, and that's exactly my point. We showed people at a crucial time in our history that we're always going to remember, right? What Estacada is really all about, working together, right?
Yeah.
And here we got through this racist thing and we've separated ourselves.
Yeah.
Where does that come into play? Why did we, a city who made it through a fire together, become separate in the racism issue?
Exactly.
Why? Why? It doesn't make any sense.
We worked together.
We went through something that could have taken our town for everything that it is. Our city could have been gone.
Yeah.
But yet we can't make it through what we're going through right now. That seems a little far out there for me. You know, we're better than that.
Yeah.
We've shown people we're better than that.
I think it's time to put out this man-made fire.
Exactly.
agree.
Well, I think that's the truth. So we have another fire burning in the background. I think that was a great analogy there. Is that we have another fire to fight, and that is to that any division we can. And the thing is, in order to solve divisions, it takes not for one side to stand their ground. It's for people to realize that there's a middle ground. There's a common place. You got to be willing to find that common ground and work together. So everybody has to give a little bit. So, and that's the big thing is you drop the assumptions, find the common ground, and that's where we're gonna proceed forward.
I have to say this to you. As a matter of fact, I met you for the first time down at the Relief Center.
That's right, you did.
And I remember this, Mayor. You did not use that as a photo op. You didn't use that as I'm unsure about who I am, so I'm going to come up and meet this token.
Sure.
You didn't do any of that. Sure. You were just natural and doing your thing. And hi, good to see you. I hear that you're working. Get to work. You know, it wasn't there was no pretense. It was just staying on mission.
That's right. That's right.
And your mission was at that time only you can answer that, but your mission at that time, like you just said, was to get a job done, save our town.
Was to save this city.
Be a part of saving us.
And I think you're very successful at that. But we are actually at our time.
It's true.
And so we want to get have Brian Hodson from Canby, Mayor Brian Hodson.
Oh, good. We love Brian. Let's bring Brian in.
Can I take him out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
So guys, tune in. We have Mayor Brian
Hodson.
I should know that. Come next next minute. So we have about 5 minutes to watch this video coming up in 2 and 2, and we'll see you soon.
Being a mayor is harder than it looks. But I love my people, and they really understand me. The other day, we had a very productive town hall on a critical community issue.
We don't have the money for purple flowers.
The mayor said he did not want purple flowers anymore.
They really rally around what's important.
I heard there was a rally, so I just showed up. Say their name! Fancy!
So that's why on our next show, we're going to be talking to other mayors, so they can learn how good our community is at handling critical topics. Our people settle their issues in a civil, organized manner.
Purple flowers matter. Purple flowers matter. Purple flowers matter.
I thought all flowers mattered.
People, if you just listen, you can find all the answers on YouTube, Facebook, or backwoodsbrothers.com next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Do the colors really matter?
Does the color of the flower really matter? Hi, Brandy from Backwoods Wives. The promo you just watched was so much fun to make. We had a blast doing it. We got a lot of funny looks. It was meant to poke fun at a more serious issue. The biggest message we want you to receive from this is that sometimes a small miscommunication can turn into a large problem if we don't take the time to listen to each other. Our mayors are human beings. They are just like us, and sometimes they can say something that would be taken way out of context. Sometimes they can say the wrong thing. The best thing to do with them or with anybody else in your life is to take a minute, take a step back. Remember who they are as a person and listen to what they're actually saying before jumping to conclusions. Thank you for watching, and we hope you had fun.
Welcome back, you guys! Right, Hudson! Yes! Mayor Hudson is back with us. As you know, we have our own studio audience, so you can come. You're going to have to pay a lot of money, or maybe some. I don't care. You know, but we're so glad we're back with Joel and Tony, and we are excited to have Mayor with us. And by the way, if you think ever that mayors are power hungry, you got to think again, because if I could just bring this out,
Sure.
Brian, or I should say Mayor, who is back with us, said before he came on that he gets nervous on these at these type of interviews. So these are people that work from behind the scenes. They're not camera hogs, but they are working behind the scenes. So I want you to show them some love. So we're glad you're here.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
No, it is nerve-wracking. Like I do small group, trainings
Yeah.
and things, which are easy to do, but I even get like state of the city addresses and things like that. I get full on like nervous and sweaty and clammy, and so yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think
so take it easy on me, both of you, all right? Because I don't.
Well, I don't know.
We're gonna get the deep personal questions.
Well, we didn't do
deep. We're gonna dig in.
Well, the
All right,
interesting thing
that's
is
cool.
we didn't do an interview with you.
No.
So, like, there's. Why don't you start with your story?
Which story? There's so many.
You know what? The story that led you to mayor.
So, so I actually became mayor because I was very involved with the Canby Area Chamber of Commerce. Got on their board and ended up working my way into being vice president of the chamber, and then being the president of the chamber. And at the time, was some transition on the city council, and a lot of change going on at the state level and the federal level, and I really wanted to just get involved and be engaged. And So there was a couple of resignations that came up on the city council due to some of that change and turmoil, and so I jumped in and applied to be interviewed to be on the city council. So there was 3 positions, and I was one of the 3 people selected. So started working and being involved in the city council, which I think Mayor Drinkwine made the comment, there is no manual. I mean, you go through some trainings and there's things like that, but there's a lot of pieces of like, wow, no one told me that. I didn't know that, right?
Yeah.
And so about a year and a half into it, I was approached by a couple of peers on the council that during a city council meeting, I made a comment about, well, someday when I'm mayor. And something I've talked about, something that, my wife and I have talked about, but someday being like, great, when my kids are, maybe in college or out of college, like someday down the road. And so the 2 or 3 city councilors said, well, hey, we think someday is now. We would like for you to run. And so I kind of, I put a small exploratory committee, not like a big one like Mayor Stan. Running for governor. So mine was pretty small. It was like my wife and some
Goober National.
Goober National. Yeah. So, it was like, it was my wife and some close friends and just kind of like digging into a little bit deeper into what the things going on in the city. And so I ran, I won. This is now my 5th term as mayor in Canby. And so when this term is done, because I'm also every 2 years like Mayor Drinkwine, I'll have been mayor for 10 years and on the council for 12. So,
So you have a little experience.
a little bit, but again, there's so much. You don't walk in and they don't give you how to be the mayor manual.
I'd be a little scared if they did.
It would be it'd be interesting to see what that manual would look like.
Kind of like the Secret President's book, maybe.
Yeah, the Book of Secrets kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But like you're gonna have 3 different mayors up here, and I know that Mayor Kaiser from Malala has been in here a couple of times, and I think there's some distinct differences between each of the mayors, but at the root of it is a heart for their communities and a heart to be involved and a heart to be making the cities move forward as best as we know how. I'll echo Mayor Drinkwine. Has it been perfect? No. Have I made my flubs? You bet. Will I make some more before I'm done? Sure. But at the end of the day, is my city safe? Am I moving it? Are we moving it forward from my position, from that of the city council? And are we moving it forward in a better way, for as many people as we can each time we get together? So that's kind of a rabbit trail off of how I got there, but that's how I got to be mayor of Canby.
I'm sure. What is it like to lead through a pandemic? Because I'm sure they put that in the manual.
No, it's interesting because they don't. It's not in the manual.
Yeah.
They don't. I mean, you look at what we as mayors and councilors have gone through, right? So, pandemic now for the past year, forest fires, and we were on the outskirts of that. We weren't in the middle of it like Sandy and Estacada. So we were receiving a lot of animals and residents there at the Clackamas County Fairgrounds, and the teams there did an amazing job. And then you turn around and then we're managing through an ice storm, right? So I'm waiting for the 4th horse of the apocalypse to come.
We have aliens. Aliens are coming.
Oh, right. So now
aliens coming.
Yes,
So.
I forgot. Right. Yeah. So managing through a pandemic. So my day job, because I think as Sean said, yes, I make an amazing salary as a manager, that I still have a day job. I work in assisted living. And so trying to manage that in a pandemic and be the mayor of a city during a pandemic, there's been a lot of very long days and lots of like staring at the ceiling at 2:00 in the morning, waiting for like, okay, what's going to be different tomorrow when I get into work, or what's going to be different tomorrow for my city that we're going to have to check and adjust. So, we all have day jobs as mayors, and so we have great city managers that are they're handling the day to day, but there's still that matter of getting together and going, okay, what are we doing today to make sure that we're doing our best?
You know, you say the TOAM thing, and when we did the interviews with all the other mayors, that's actually something that came up, I think, more than once. People talk about the TOAMs. That's where the 2 a.m. nights or mornings, whatever you want to call them.
It is. It's the 2 a.m. nights. It's after a long day of working at your job or running your business, it's a late city council meeting because you have a land use piece that gets done at 11 o'clock, and then you're back. Then you're home. Oh, I just have that one email to respond to, and it ends up being 2 hours later. You're catching up on other stuff, or you just can't turn the brain off necessarily.
How about the late night or untimely knocks on the door that want to talk to you about something or that? Do you get those?
I really don't get a lot of phone calls or knocks on the door. A lot of that comes about really, truly, Joel, when I'm at the grocery store or I'm sitting at at Gwen's Coffee House and there in downtown, and people want to come and talk. That's usually when it happens the most. I don't get too many door knocks. It was interesting when I was first elected. I got to speak with a couple of the Boy Scout troops, which I really enjoyed doing because they're super great, and they ask really pointed questions like, so do I live in the mayor's mansion, and do I have a driver that drives me to work every day, and so it just those are the things that they want to know. So so I really don't get a lot of the knocking on the door. It's happened, but not too often.
So how is the mayor's mansion?
Well, I tell you, the mayor's mansion, it's pretty great. Like, I mean, thanks to my wife, she runs a very, very tight house, and I consider her the CEO of our family, and so it's good. The mayor's mansion's good.
What shocked me? That I didn't know that mayors get the knock on the door. I didn't know the mayors get the stop at the grocery store. I didn't know those. Amy and we used to be pastors, and so a pastor's life was always a pastor's life. You got to knock on the parsonage door. You got to knock. You need to be ready in season, out of season. I didn't know that translated over to being a mayor. That you get those on moments, and you almost have to feel like you're on even at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, Tony, with that, because it does happen. I mean, it got to the like me running to the store became a 2-hour endeavor instead of a half-hour endeavor.
Wow.
Because people they're like, you look really familiar, and I'm like,
I'm not him.
Well, and I run through things like, well, is it because I'm so is it my because I'm my dad to my daughter? Like, no, that's not it. And like, well, it's because I used to work there in Canby, and like, well, you know me from work, and like, no,
I'm in Diesel.
Like, yeah, right. I was like, I go, well, I am the mayor. They're like, that's it. Yeah, I got a question for you. And I'm like, all right, let's have let me go put the jug of milk back in the refrigerator so it stays cold. So but that's the part of the job, and I would prefer that than some of the the social media. I think we were talking, Mayor Drake was talking about that the unfettered keyboard commando, like, I'm angry and I'm going to get after the mayor, and
Keyboard commando.
I like
well,
that unfender.
Well, and it happens, but that's part of the job as well, and you've got to kind of take it. And
how do you do that? How do you develop that thick skin?
I've always been, and I think Mayor Kaiser and Mayor Drinkwine and Mayor Pulliam would say the same thing. Yeah. I think when you talk to us, we're all very much hearts on our sleeve.
Yep.
And so, and I think if you get too calloused and guard it too much, I think you lose some of that intensity for your community.
Wow.
And so you do have to build a thick skin, and you have to learn to shut it off, and you have to learn to ignore it, and you have to learn to read in between the lines of, like, here's all the angry language that I'm going to call you and all the names, and here's what I'm really upset about, and then here's some more nasty language and names I'm going to call you. Mm-hmm. And so that's the piece you got to look, you got to weed through that. My wife has been very good about being able to, okay, calm down.
She's really good about that.
She is good about it.
Awesome.
And I and for me, it's prayer and meditation.
Yeah.
Prayer is big.
Yeah.
I do a lot of that. Probably more so now as mayor than I probably ever did in my life.
Wow.
So that's a big piece of it for me too.
I think you touched on something that most people don't really think about is that they see the mayor, and what he's doing, and they say these things and they do these things, but there's never any real thought given that there's a family, there's a wife behind that mayor,
Yeah.
and the effects that these things that people may be doing, or the troubles you're going through, and that puts pressure on that family as well. I don't think people really thought about that because I never did before I started getting into politics myself.
Yes.
And I started
Yes.
to realize that does have an effect on the family. They do take that pressure, they see it, and they may, in some cases, maybe even under fire just as much as you are in some cases.
Well, and that's true, Joel. I mean, that's there's been a couple of times. I mean, there was an incident not an incident, but a piece where I was delayed coming home, and my wife just casually made a comment on social media about, can the mayor just pick up a pizza and come home? And she, like, all of a sudden the next day there was calls into the chamber office and there was calls into City Hall, and and she was getting blasted for, like, well, that's the job and this and that, and and so we both kind of had to be like, okay, so we're very much in the spotlight, and those are things that we just have to be
Glass house.
a little bit.
Yeah.
We have to be very careful on what we say or what we're doing and that kind of thing. And and I check. I have 3 kids, and so I check them to make sure, how are they handling it? What are they thinking? Like, what things are they experiencing out there in the general public as well? And it's been a little bit of a challenge sometimes.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
Go ahead.
oh yeah. So I mean, I got to ask you, what's your thoughts on the fact is that apparently, according to some news media, that Stan wants to take over your job?
So yeah, I saw today that apparently I was in St. Helens announcing my gubernatorial race. That is not.
What?
I know. So the blurb was, Mayor Pulliam was there in St. Helens, on his listening tour.
Uh-huh.
And then at the bottom it says Canby Mayor, entertaining governor run or something like that. And so, no, I'm not. No, I like being the mayor of Canby, and
I was going to say, that'll make for an interesting show today.
Yeah. You get
No,
boxing
no.
gloves and see. You come
Yeah,
out
we can
of
ding,
Taurus,
ding,
right?
ding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah. So no, there is no plans on that right now. Right now.
right now,
Right now.
Yeah,
You're P's and Q's.
he's not. He's leaving it out there just so you know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yes.
So a question from a viewer.
Yeah.
What types of things are mayors in charge of? I really don't know, and it would be good to be educated on some of the things that the main jobs are. So
The mayor. It's interesting because so in the city of Canby, it's a weak mayor system, and what that means is that the mayor only votes in the instance of a tie on the council. So it's myself and 6 city councilors. I don't get a vote necessarily. So let me make sure I'm clear. I don't get a vote on the budget, but I'm very much involved in the city's budget process and in those budget meetings. I set the agenda for the city meetings that we have twice a month. But really, like the power of ordinances and resolutions and things that rely in the city council. So a lot of my job is being the face of the city on the city level, on a county level, and even on a regional level.
Wow.
And so it's not just, and I think the other 2 mayors can attest to this as well, is that it's not just the city stuff that we deal with. It is stuff regionally. What's going on in Portland impacts Sandy, it impacts Estacada, it impacts Canby, it impacts so we need to be aware of what's going on. So I do a lot of meetings with county people, and I meet with our state legislators. So that's people within my own community, business owners, things like. So it's a lot of that. I think Sean said, there's a lot of that going in. Stopping the businesses. How are you doing? How are things going? What's happening? What has been your experience so far? You know, even with a pandemic, like working with the Chamber of Commerce directors and things like that. So it's that's some of the job. I meet with my city manager every week. So we meet at least, like last night, I met with him. We had about a 2.5 hour meeting talking about the next agenda, talking about things that are coming up. So I have to be well versed in all things and not necessarily an expert in anything.
How do you get that on the job training right there? You have to, that's the thing I saw. You have to be well versed in almost everything.
It is experience. You know, I mean, people talk about term limits, but there's a lot of learning that goes on. There's a lot of reading that goes on. There's a lot of research that goes on. I don't know about Mayor Drinkwine and Mayor Pulliam. I don't know if they've got people on their staff that do the research for them. Sean, do you?
Yeah, we have city staff that will go out on a limb. So
Sure, city staff, but I mean, you don't have a person dedicated for you.
No.
Like, as I'm talking to the audience.
You got to read.
Sorry.
everything.
Right, and we've
You
got
guys
to
can
read.
answer it too.
Yeah, we got to read and
Yes.
prepare for our meetings, and you know, no one's going to do that for us. And it is relying on city staff with, and they're the experts, right? So we have a finance director that we can go to, and we do have a park and rec team that we can go to. Yeah.
I just saw that, you know, you guys, if you're listening, these guys are talking to each other, but do you guys talk to each other? Do you guys find out what you don't know? So you call over to Mayor Drinkwine and say, hey, I have this issue coming up and I really don't know how to navigate it. Have you navigated that before? Do you guys have some mayor's convention you go to?
We actually, there is quite a number of opportunities where we get together. So, you know, Mayor Drinkwine and I, and even Mayor Pulliam, and now Mayor Kaiser, we're all on the Clackamas County Coordinating Committee. So we all get together, and that group gets together and hashes out transportation and land use stuff for the county. You know, there's a Metro Mayors group that gets together on a monthly basis, and they're always talking about stuff. There's the Oregon Mayors Association. So, you know, a couple of times a year we're returning to that finally, we'll get together, and it's a weekend, you know, like 3-4 days of just kind of more things than anything. It's just sharing ideas. It's talking about what's going on, getting perspective, you know, going, hey, we did this and that was a flop. What did you guys do? I mean, it is that, there is some of that. There's a lot of that, you know, so that's it's a
Now you got
huge benefit.
Now you got the brand new Northwest Mayor's Poker Tournament that just popped up. You know,
Oh, I wasn't aware of this one. Is this something that Mayor Pulliam started?
apparently
Yeah.
it's been given a name.
You should see these guys cut loose. I tell you what, it's awesome. It's
Yes,
awesome.
and they need it. So, well, we're at the edge of our time here.
Yeah.
I do have a question on here, and then I want to give you a chance to kind of, if you wanted to say something to anyone in your city. But the question first was, what is the population of Canby?
So the population of Canby right now, we just did a census, but we're just about 18,000 people.
Is that in city?
That is within our urban growth boundary.
Okay.
You move about a mile outside of town, and we start to kick up towards 23,000. So
Gotcha.
when you look at the Clackamas County cities, the rural cities, you know, it's interesting because Canby, you know, Canby's at this point, but then you kind of go, well, Malala's a little bit, you know, behind, you know, or not behind, but just kind of following up in that way. And then you got Sandy and you got Escate. Like there's an interesting progression of Clackamas County, the rural cities in terms of growth, rate of growth, economic development, and things like that. So there's a lot. So that synergy piece, not that that's a word I really like to use, but there is that collaboration that we all work together and talk about. So, but yeah, we're growing. We're popping about 100 homes a year
Oh, okay.
right now. So yeah, it's
About
pretty nuts.
400 people.
Why don't you
growth a year.
Yeah, why don't you speak to your 18,000 people plus?
Yeah, is there, just go ahead and give them a message. What you might want to give them, or say something out there.
No,
and
I
we'll-
think the only
we'll
thing that
let
I
it
would say is if you're watching and you're from Canby, thank you. Thank you for your due diligence and your hard work for the past year with dealing with a pandemic and forest fires and ice storms. We are a community that is made up of a tremendous amount of resilient, hardworking citizens that pull together to help each other out, and that is the Canby way, and we do that in big ways and in small ways. And so thank you all for this past year and everything that you have done to keep Canby moving forward and helping each other out. So thanks.
Thank you. Joel, take us out.
With that, we will go ahead and take a short break here, and then after the break, we're going to have Mayor Stan Pulliam coming on, and we'll get a chance to go ahead and ask him some questions. So please, by all means, if you have questions for Stan or anyone, keep sending them in. I got some lined up already, and we'll see you after the break. Thanks, guys.
I wish I had some of your.
Being a mayor is harder than it looks. But I love my people, and they really understand me. The other day, we had a very productive town hall on a critical community issue.
We don't have the money for purple flowers.
The mayor said he did not want purple flowers anymore.
They really rally around what's important.
I heard there was a rally, so I just showed up. Say their name!
Banzai!
So that's why on our next show, we're going to be talking to other mayors, so they can learn how good our community is at handling critical topics. Our people settle their issues in a civil, organized manner.
I thought all flowers mattered.
People, if you just listen, you can find all the answers on YouTube, Facebook, or backwoodsbrothers.com next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Do the colors really matter?
Does the color of the flower really matter? Hi, Brandy from Backwoods Wives. The promo you just watched was so much fun to make. We had a blast doing it. We got a lot of funny looks. It was meant to poke fun at a more serious issue. The biggest message we want you to receive from this is that sometimes a small miscommunication can turn into a large problem if we don't take the time to listen to each other. Our mayors are human beings. They are just like us, and sometimes they can say something that would be taken way out of context. Sometimes they can say the wrong thing. The best thing to do with them or with anybody else in your life is to take a minute, take a step back. Remember who they are as a person and listen to what they're actually saying before jumping to conclusions. Thank you for watching, and we hope you had fun.
Being a mayor is harder than it looks. But I love my people, and they really understand me. The other day, we had a very productive town hall on a critical community issue.
We don't have the money for purple flowers.
The mayor said he did not want purple flowers anymore.
They really rally around what's important.
I heard there was a rally, so I just showed up. Say their name!
Fancy!
So that's why on our next show, we're going to be talking to other mayors so they can learn how good our community is at handling critical topics. Our people settle their issues in a civil, organized manner.
I thought all flowers mattered.
People, if you just listen, you can find all the answers on YouTube, Facebook, or backwoodsbrothers.com next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Do the colors really matter?
Does the color of the flower really matter? Hi, Brandy from Backwoods Wives. The promo you just watched was so much fun to make. We had a blast doing it. We got a lot of funny looks. It was meant to poke fun at a more serious issue. The biggest message we want you to receive from this is that sometimes a small miscommunication can turn into a large problem if we don't take the time to listen to each other. Our mayors are human beings. They are just like us, and sometimes they can say something that would be taken way out of context. Sometimes they can say the wrong thing. The best thing to do with them or with anybody else in your life is to take a minute, take a step back. Remember who they are as a person and listen to what they're actually saying before jumping to conclusions. Thank you for watching, and we hope you had fun.
Hey guys, we are back! You're here with we got Mayor Stan Pulliam in the house
Thank
here.
you. Thank you.
Future governor of Oregon.
My dream has come true. I'm with the pack. What is it? What are we? We're the brothers. We're the
Backwoods Brothers.
Backwoods Brothers.
Not Blackwood, not back.
Oh, I love
feet,
it.
Not, yeah.
I love it.
It's on the cup that he made for you if you have to read.
Yeah,
On the
this
cup,
is
on the
great.
cup.
I love it. I love
So-
it.
Yes.
Thank you for having me, guys. This is
thank you so much for being
exciting.
here.
Yeah, it's
definitely.
good to be here.
It's been great. We've been looking forward to this all month long.
Yes.
and having everybody on here and to chit chat, and if everybody's been watching, they've been seeing that all these different mayors have different personalities. About
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and you're just you got this hyper.
I'm a little bit. I got some energy.
Well,
I got a
the
little
cool
bit.
thing, you brought the energy into the room. Like, Stan is in the building. Yes.
No, I'm just trying to keep up with these guys, and I am. And the video you guys did, I was so happy it started with it. I mean, in rural Clackamas County here, we have amazing mayors out there. You just saw two of them. Scott Kaiser wasn't on here, but you think about the last year and a half, 2 years. The pandemic, the wildfires, the freeze. I mean, it's like days end of days going on.
Yep.
These mayors have stood up every single time, with
Yes.
their neighbors and honestly, I'm just trying to follow their lead. These folks, both Mayor Drinkwine and Hodson were here before me. They've been great mentors for me, and I'm just happy to be here with them tonight. They're great.
Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah. One of the things you said in your video was that you like, Mayor, leadership from literally the backseat or the ground up.
Yep.
I've heard you say that
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with that because you're definitely both. You can move to the front and you can move to the back, and you're kind of versatile that way.
Sure. Well, the one thing you learn as mayor, especially over the last, the controversial months that we've had recently. These decisions are best made at the ground level, with neighbors. On our city council, it's I'm sure not different than what you guys have in Estacada or in Canby. We have Republicans, we have Democrats, we've got grandparents, we've got parents, but we're neighbors, and we tackle these problems
as a community, as neighbors. I know you guys had conversations with Mayor Drinkwine and Hodson about, you know, the wildfire season and the relief center in Estacada. And, you know, people didn't ask. You weren't, you know, "Whoa, are you a Trumper or a never Trumper?" You know, before you came out. It was just like, do you need help?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
it was about community, and that's what it was all about.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Just like when we had the relief center, everybody was working together so well together. We even had people out of Sandy and out of Malala and everybody else coming in to help out. And I mean, and you actually got the first truckload of food out to us.
Yeah, well,
So
you know,
big-
I'm mayors. We like to take credit, right? But I mean, what it really was is we had these community members that got, you know, fresh food deliveries from all over the Portland metro area. My dad owns a trucking company, and so, you know, he had a refrigerated truck that we were able to keep this food fresh.
Wow.
And you know, I mean, things got a little better in Sandy, a little earlier than they did in Estacada, and you guys were kind of getting going out there, and we wanted to get that stuff delivered out there. I know you guys were able to utilize that truck for a couple of days where you're kind of first getting going, and just ended up being an amazing effort that you guys put on.
took on a life of its own, and it grew, and amazing things happened. Like I said, it was about the community that came out there. So,
yeah.
But,
real fast, I don't want to derail everything, but Joel, I want to thank you for the leadership in this town when we had the most vulnerable times when our town was under fire and we didn't know what we were going to do. Thank you for the leadership that you and your team put together. So.
Well, that's when we first met.
Exactly.
Was during all of that. So
Yeah.
you meet the best of people during times of crisis.
Exactly. I think you get the great people to come out during that time. And I mean, Tony was down there doing counseling, and what he does great. So we have someone who's asked a question like 6 times, waiting for you to come on.
Oh no.
Yes.
Here we
go. Before we get to this question,
Cheers. Cheers, Tony.
Yeah, cheers.
There's a
Cheers.
really
Right
important comment I wanted to put on here that just came out. Somebody apparently loves your socks.
Oh, all right.
So we'll start with that one.
So it must be my wife. Mackenzie's on there. Is that what's going on?
I don't know. And
Mackenzie. Well, thank you for the
And the shoes are awesome too.
The question is actually a legit question they want to know
Okay.
about.
Yeah.
It said, I'd like to ask Mayor Stan about expanding the availability of alternative fuel in Oregon, like E85, for example.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Boom, right into it.
Boom. But,
Yes.
well, you know, what I will tell you is, I mean, we've had a bill entered into the legislature to get rid of diesel fuel, to get rid of fuel, you know, in the state of Oregon by, I think it was like the year 2030 or something.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, obviously we're going to need alternative fuels if we're going to go down that path, which we shouldn't. It's crazy. We need to be looking at everything in terms of energy. But I'll tell you what, though, when it comes to energy, the conversation we need to start having as Oregonians is putting Oregonians to work.
Yeah.
You know, I think of like Coos Bay, for example. They had the Jordan Cove gas line project out there. That would have meant over 10,000 jobs to the Coos Bay and surrounding communities, counties out there. We're talking about people who've been devastated after the timber industry went away. And so the extreme environmentalists come out there, right? They shut down the project. Now, you guys, you know, wind, solar, these things are great. But the truth is the vast majority of our energy comes from traditional sources, right? Like gas and all these kinds of things. And so if we're not filling that vacuum of energy with our hardworking neighbors here in Oregon under our safety guidelines, our environmental quality, that vacuum's going to be filled by bad actors like China and the Middle East. Right? And we need to be trusting Oregonians and putting Oregonians to work. So as far as the specific question, I mean, I don't know. I mean, sure, right? I mean, absolutely. I mean, we need to be getting all kinds of alternative fuel. But more importantly, we got to be starting to source things locally here, you know, in Oregon and in the United States of America.
Oh, I completely agree. Definitely bring it home, bring it to Oregon. So, another question that I actually had for you.
Okay.
Recently, there was a big thing in the news where you and a group of people had filed the lawsuit against the governor.
Yeah.
And of course that came out where the federal courts just threw that thing out.
Sure.
I wanted to get your response on that.
Yeah, sure. So, well, a couple of things there is one is you know, we needed to file in federal court because we've been shut down for over a year and a half. And we've had these small business owners in Oregon. We have lost over 1,200 businesses. The Oregon Restaurant and Lodging Association say that we stand to lose another third over the next 6 months of our businesses across the state. And I have yet to see the evidence that says that COVID is not spread when we support some of the largest corporations in this country. Big box corporate America. But all of a sudden it spread like wildfire when you want to sit down and support a local Main Street small business owner. And so what this lawsuit did was it said, we need to see the evidence. You need to display the scientific evidence as to why we have this disparity. And then what happened? Less than 24 hours after we filed this federal lawsuit, the entire matrix changed. It all of a sudden shifted, right? And now it's all about, amazing. Now it's all about vaccinations and we're supposed to be hitting 70% or whatever it is. As if we need the government coming into our own individual decision making for our own healthcare decisions that should be made in the privacy of our own homes. So that entire thing started shifting after this federal lawsuit and it gets thrown out. Why does it get thrown out? The judge says it's because of lack of standing by the Oregon Moms Union. Now think about this. Moms from across the state, throughout every school district in Oregon that are part of the Oregon Moms Union, who have seen their children, in this virtual and hybrid learning, suffering in isolation and underachievement, they lack standing. And before anybody tells me that this is a Trump federal appointed judge, I got a news flash for you. These Trump appointees here in Oregon, you have to get the approval of both United States senators, right? So you've got to get Wyden and Merkley to support those guys. Do you think you're getting Trump appointees, or do you think you're getting Merkley and Wyden appointees? And that is why we're seeing all these kinds of decisions coming out of both our federal and state courts, and it needs to change.
Yeah, of course. And and I mean, lately I've just in the state court systems and a lot of these Democratic run states, I've lost a lot of faith in the way that they have. It's just like they make decisions that just kind of make you shake your head and go, how do you throw that out? I mean, and even federal, it boggles my mind a little bit.
But you can't get discouraged, though. I mean, we've still got to believe in our system, right? Of checks and balances, of electing officials. And here's the deal. If we don't like our judges, we need to change our elected officials that appoint the judges. And in some of these races in which we actually have campaigns and stuff for the judgeship, we've got to take those seriously. I mean, how many times, I'll admit it, I voted, I see these judges, I don't know one judge from the other, right? You're going by gut. Yeah. We can't go by gut anymore. I mean, we have all these people across the state that have never paid attention to the politics that happen in Washington, D.C. and Salem. They think it doesn't affect them. You can't make that case anymore. These decisions greatly affect us. And so we have to roll up our sleeves and get involved. And so I hear it all the time. I want to move out of the state, or I don't believe in our system or our judges. Well, you can't just wake up this year and then say, well, shoot, I give up. You just woke up this year to what's going on. You got to get involved.
Yes,
you got to roll up your sleeves and try to change America. We're set up for change. You can get involved in the system. We just need you involved.
Yes,
you got to get involved.
Don't move. Get involved.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah,
exactly right.
So go ahead.
I've been wanting to ask you this question.
Yeah,
and I talked with Joel, my colleague here.
Yeah,
and I was wanting to know. You're awesome. I just could hang out with you all day. But what are you going to do with a population that's quite not bought in yet?
Yeah.
And they are.
You don't think people are bought in?
Well
come on, Tony.
They're
bought in, man.
If I know you I know you, you're going to get them bought in because you're charismatic and you can preach.
What are
you going to do to reach a population of multicultural?
Yeah, well, I think you got to meet people where they are. Right? And that's part of what we're doing on this listening tour is we're traveling across the state and meeting people in their communities where they are. I'm here tonight, with you guys in a podcast here, in East Clackamas County, and at Video Out. And we're traveling the state doing different, segments like this all across the state. Because people want to hear from their neighbors, right? They want to hear from Joel and Tony and talk about the issues that affect them and their communities. And so we're trying to meet people where they are. And then the other thing I think that's important is Mackenzie and I like to say when we win this thing. It's not this if nonsense.
Right.
When we win this thing.
We don't go in expecting to lose.
Hey, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We will be the first couple family in the governor's mansion in over 40
Yes.
years with kids in public school
Yes.
in real time. You know, and you think about, we're ranked nearly last in every category in education, from 47 out of 50 in graduation rates, 46 out of 50 in overall education. You know, probably a big reason for this, we don't got parents in charge of these decisions that are going on in our schools. So, you know, you ask, you know, how are we going to reach out to, you know, these multicultural communities? We're going to go meet them where they are, but also as, you know, one big tide lifts all boats. You know, we don't talk enough about that. If we have a vibrant economy, we're going to be able to employ people from all over demographics. If we improve our education system and get marketplace principle and power into the hands of parents, we're going to be able to help out all kinds of people. You know, I think there are differences between us. We got to recognize and respect our differences in our history and our cultural history. I mean, and we got to have these important discussions, but we also have to lift everybody, right? And we spend too much time talking about how much we're apart. You know, we did the video segment a little bit earlier that you came out and did with me. You know, we talked about you know, couples, right? When you're first dating,
I love this.
all you do is all you do when you first meet is you concentrate on all the things you have in common.
Yes.
And then you get married, and too often you just focus on those things that are different,
right?
You know, about one another.
Yes.
And we got to focus on what we have in common. And when I meet with Anna Williams, who's a Democrat state representative, represents Sandy, when we sit down and meet, it's those items that we can collaborate on and agree on and move the needle on that go to the head of the agenda. Now, do we talk about items every now and then that, you know, that we have differences of opinion on and debate it? We do, and respectfully, right?
Yes.
But we spend the majority of our time on the issues that we can actually make meaningful change on. And that's what we've got to start doing. That's how you bring people together. And that's how I hope to lead.
So I hear you saying meeting people's felt needs as a whole,
That's
bringing
right.
everybody. Yep.
Absolutely right.
Yep.
That's good. That's good. So,
All right.
a couple things in from the audience. So this person says, I have a question. During a speech in Estacada, Mayor Stan said the teachers were making the decisions on students coming back to in person, but it's the Department of Education's decision. I'm sure you realize that now, but I wanted to give you a chance to correct it since you know the media can be. So
that's not true. It is the teacher unions that are stopping our kids from going back into the schools. Now Governor Brown, she closed down our schools. So if she wanted to open up our schools, she could absolutely open our schools back up, right? But where she left the decisions was into the hands of the school boards. Now, people will say school boards, well, Mayor Pulliam, that who has the power? But you don't have the power if the teachers aren't going to go back to work. And I'll tell you this, we've seen, I think it was, I may get it wrong, but it was in the Lake Oswego area, we had the school board literally pass to get the kids back in full-time 5 days a week, and it was vetoed by the government teacher unions. And so you can't tell me when the governor has left it to school boards to let kids back into the classroom, and yet all the rural communities seem to find a way to figure it out. But the closer you get to Portland, all of us, where you know the teacher unions are the most powerful. All of a sudden, it doesn't work there. So I'm sorry. I'm not going to back down on that one. The government teacher unions are crippling the state. And we have got to take control as parents back of our educational system for our kids and our kids' future. And if you want a candidate for governor who's going to tiptoe around those issues, I'm not your guy. I'm not your guy. You know, we're going head first, and we're going to speak the truth. You know, now does this say that teachers are bad? Absolutely not. I'm only sitting here today because of teachers who were role models for me. My civics teacher was the guy who got me to Washington, D.C. the first time, who ignited my passion in public service. My history teacher, Mr. Ross, was incredibly important to me. He came to my event recently in Central Oregon. It was a very emotional experience for me. But these government teacher unions don't represent all they're the representative body of the teachers, but they don't represent all the teachers. I talk to teachers all the time who, you know, disagree with their union. But you guys, the light's been turned on. And I'm sorry, you're not going to turn it back off again, right? People, young families throughout the state now know where the power is. And we're not going to look away. And we're going to stand up and fight back, and we're going to take back control of our state.
And I couldn't agree more with you. I mean, you make a very compelling argument on that. So
thank
I'm
you.
hoping that they answered the question for our viewers. So So let's see. By the way, a few side notes in here, Tony. Someone says your shirt rules. So
It's
Yes.
a great shirt.
they say it's some good fashion up in here tonight. So.
Well,
Only because of Mayor Stanley.
well,
It's only
it's
because
the socks.
the mayors were here. It's the socks. It's the socks.
Come on.
Normally I wouldn't put names out there, but this is a comment that says Scott Kaiser, Mayor Scott Kaiser,
Yeah.
wanted to say hi to everybody. He's watching right now.
Ah, Scott's the man. Now,
Yep.
now I know he had a big announcement at 7:00 tonight. I saw some posting about that. So Scott, I hope it went well for you, brother.
Yeah,
I really do. I really do.
Definitely. Well, we are starting to brush up against our time already.
We just started.
I
guys.
know. You're
I
just
know.
getting
Hold on, but
started.
we better get the other mayors up here.
We
Is that what's
Yes.
gonna happen?
That's what's
All
going to
right,
be
all right.
after
Yeah.
after this next coming break.
Okay.
Then we're going to have all the mayors up here.
Yeah.
And it's going to go
It's gonna
crazy.
be a party.
Yes.
It's
It's
gonna be
gonna be a
wild.
party.
It's gonna be
So,
wild.
but we have just a couple minutes left. If you have anything you wanted to say to all the viewers,
Yeah.
as a potential running for
Yeah.
governor, and maybe you want to announce no.
yeah.
I
But, I mean,
bugging about it.
you know, I think there's another guy that's on you a lot to announce it.
Yeah. No,
He's just
I get
like,
it.
when
I
you
get it a
get-
lot.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
when
Make
I-
it here first. Everybody says that. Make it here first.
Well, what I would say to people across Oregon is one, if I've just had such an incredible time this last month and a half, couple of months, traveling the state and getting to know you and your communities and hearing kind of the stories of what's going on. I look forward to doing that here in the weeks ahead. You know, and I've talked about the light being turned on, and people use the word woke a lot lately, right? And let's talk about. I just want to end with talking about being awoken and who's been awoken over this last year and a half. Small Main Street business owners and their employees who've been adversely affected by all of these lockdowns have been awoken. Young families who are dual working homes, whose kids have been stuck in this isolation under achievement, have been awoken. Seniors who saw state police and government teacher unions cut them in front of the line in the vaccine rollout when they were among the most vulnerable, have been awoken. Rural Oregonians in the state who've been left behind have been awoken. And there's an opportunity here in this state. We're trying to do something that hasn't been done over 40 years. Get a Republican in the governor's office. And I'll tell you, you think about the mass homelessness, the violence, you know, the lack of standing in education. You know what the definition of insanity is? Doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting a different result. So if you're ready for a different result, if you're ready for common sense solutions, please check out our website at stanpulliam.org. And let's get these other mayors up here. Let's go to the segment. Let's rock this thing,
Let's
you guys.
rock this thing. You know
Let's
what?
get it going.
Well, you heard him. You heard him, you
So-
guys. So why don't you?
We're gonna take a quick break. Watch his messages. We gotta get the mayors up here and everything. Please take a minute, send in as many questions as you can so we can get these guys going.
One more thing.
Yep.
After that, check out our merch.
Yes,
There's
on the
merch.
website, backwoodsbrothers.com, up in the store. We got lots of different
Up in the
merch there.
store. You said up in the store.
All up in the store.
Mine's a
All
little
up in the
crooked.
store.
This is my favorite. This is a limited edition of one.
Yes, you. You only get it crooked one time. The guy with the one eye did it. But we will see you in just a moment. Get ready to laugh.
Thanks, guys.
Leaders are very unique people. They have a very simple distinction, and that is their thinking is different. Leaders do not think like followers. Leaders used to be followers, all of them. But what made them cross the line was a certain mentality that kicked in somewhere. Something happened to them that made them think differently. And I normally call that attitudes that influence people. If you want to be an impactful personality, you have to develop certain types of thinking and perceptions that change the way you see yourself and see the world. I call this the spirit of leadership. A leader has an attitude that makes him or her different from followers. It doesn't matter how big you are, how intelligent you are, how many degrees you get. It's your mind that keeps you small. And it doesn't matter how small you are, or how unintelligent you may seem to be, or how much you don't have. It's your mind that makes you the leader. Attitude. The attitude, therefore, is the difference. Write this down. The difference between a leader and a follower is attitude. Why? Because it is unique attitudes that distinguish leaders from followers. They think differently. And that's because attitudes produce certain behaviors. And those behaviors stretch the leader beyond the limitations of the norm. In other words, it is the thinking of the person that makes them see circumstances differently. Your life is what you think it should be. That's exactly what you are right now. You are what you thought you should be. And if you don't like who you are, you got to change what you think you should be. That's how leaders are born. True leadership is self-discovery. True leadership is serving your gift to the world. Everyone in this room was born with a specific gift. Some of you got 2 of them. Don't try and develop all of your gifts. Focus on one. Make it your primary gift. And then refine it. And then serve it to the world. The key to leadership is service. But it doesn't mean servitude as making yourself of less value. You serve because you have value. It is your gift that makes you valuable, and serving it is your responsibility. And the better you serve your gift, the greater leadership you achieve. That's why Jesus said the greatest among you is the one who serves everybody. The greatest is the one who serves. So whoever can serve their gift more effectively, they become the greatest in the group. No one came to earth without a gift. The problem is we try to take other people's gifts and make them ours. If you become an imitation, you're going to be broke. You need to find your gift, your strength, your unique power. And you need to take that and say, I'm going to become this. And then serve it to the world. And that's your leadership born that day. Leaders are very unique people. They have a very simple distinction, and that is their thinking is different. Leaders do not think like followers. Leaders used to be followers, all of them. But what made them cross the line was a certain mentality that kicked in somewhere. Something happened to them that made them think differently. And I normally call that attitudes that influence people. If you want to be an impactful personality, you have to develop certain types of thinking and perceptions that change the way you see yourself and see the world. I call this the spirit of leadership. A leader has an attitude that makes him or her different from followers. It doesn't matter how big you are, how intelligent you are, how many degrees you get. It's your mind that keeps you small. And it doesn't matter how small you are, or how unintelligent you may seem to be, or how much you don't have. It's your mind that makes you the leader. Attitude. The attitude, therefore, is the difference. Write this down. The difference between a leader and a follower is attitude. Why? Because it is unique attitudes that distinguish leaders from followers. They think differently. And that's because attitudes produce certain behaviors. And those behaviors stretch the leader beyond their limitations of the norm. In other words, it is the thinking of the person that makes them see circumstances differently. Your life is what you think it should be. That's exactly what you are right now. You are what you thought you should be. And if you don't like who you are, you got to change what you think you should be. That's how leaders are born. True leadership is self-discovery. True leadership is serving your gift to the world. Everyone in this room was born with a specific gift. Some of you got 2 of them. Don't try and develop all of your gifts. Focus on one. Make it your primary gift. And then refine it. And then serve it to the world. The key to leadership is service. But it doesn't mean servitude as
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Yes, you know what? This is what happened at poker night. They were totally cutting up. We have all the mayors here, which is really funny. And the cool thing is, we have never had this many people.
We have almost all. We can't miss that. We're missing Mayor Kaiser.
Oh, that's true. We got to remember Mayor Kaiser. We love you. But we've never had this many people in the studio before. I mean, this is kind of cool, right?
And the temperature's about 40 degrees higher than
yeah, so we're sweating, you know.
So what are you
because of
saying?
Stan.
You telling us we're full of hot air?
Oh,
well, we are mayors. We are mayors.
Well, if I ask your wives, you'd probably say you're a bunch of hotties or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we need your questions. Bring your questions.
Yes, and I got a bunch lined up here first, but actually, Mayor Pulliam was sharing his opinion with me off air about something, and I wanted to give him the last chance to start right off the gate with his opinion.
So, you know, Joel, my wife Mackenzie was telling me last night that she saw some post coming up where you know, all of a sudden now we're giving a disclaimer on what's going on here with the Backwoods Brothers and some of the segments that's going on that doesn't represent, you know, the city of Estacada, or maybe it's your role as a city councilor. You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm no genius, Joel, but it never once occurred to me that you were coming on here as a city councilor, you know, spouting off your opinion on behalf of the people of Estacada. You know, and that's wild. But what I want to also know is, why can Joanne Hardesty in Portland go spout off her mouth everywhere she goes? Ted Wheeler can do the same, right, in Portland, but we don't see, like, by the way, this doesn't represent the city of Portland. There are all the homeless people living on every street corner that you may drive by. That doesn't say that anywhere, Joel. And so, you know, man, I stopped using the disclaimer on my stuff. Honestly, I know you're trying to be a good guy. You're a great guy. I was trying to be a good guy. But you know what, man? There are people out there that are just not good people, Joel. Mm-hmm. And so put it on there. Don't kneel. Don't kneel to this cancel culture and the stuff going on out here. Don't kneel, Joel.
If you haven't seen with some of the recent videos, we don't kneel, despite
we
know
but no, I like your role though.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, if
I'm saying you did.
I like your role.
Yeah.
I like your role.
All right.
We
like
definitely. So
yep.
Fire.
Now you know. Now you know.
Now you know.
Okay, so we got some questions lined up already. So I'm just going to come right off the bat with this one. We had to listen to what the district offices said. So perhaps some of this is back for a previous one. Sorry. What are your thoughts on the issue of people have with the church speaking publicly in Sandy, or anywhere, like the Proud Boys and LGBTQ community situation? What happened within the last couple weeks? But I think the question that was for Sandy, but I want to go with, because it's happened in other communities too. There's been issues. So by all means, mayors, speak up.
Let's just get down to faith in general.
Yeah.
You know, since when did we throw faith out?
Right.
You know?
I agree.
Right. Let's just go with that right off the bat. You know, faith is very important. Bringing people back to the dinner table with faith, okay? To have a discussion, to sit there and talk with their families, to be a part of something. Faith is what we should be looking at here. Not whether a church talks for what they believe in, or should it be allowed. Since when did we put parameters around faith?
Right.
You have to have a belief. You have to have something strong that you can depend on.
Yeah.
So the idea that we can, separate everything from that and just throw faith out with the handbag, I mean, it's ridiculous to begin with.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Well, it's Sandy, right? And so what we've kind of had is we have had this local church and preacher that has throughout last summer and into this year has to have these public demonstrations. And you know what I'm getting really sick and tired of? Is people that say that the First Amendment is there for me, but not for you, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I thought we lived in a country where the First Amendment was there to protect people's speech that you don't just agree with, but also that of which you will spend a lifetime fighting against, right? Because that is what the First Amendment's supposed to be there for. And, we had a Willamette Week article that came out about, the Proud Boys coming to Sandy and, all this stuff going on. And, I can't think of a single person they interviewed in that article that was actually from Sandy. Not a single one. They're all coming from outside, and gathering and kind of doing this thing. And I tell you, I think that we need to start allowing, the same person that might have asked me about that. Notice he didn't ask me about the riots going on in downtown Portland, right? And the protests and stuff going on there.
That's in there too.
Oh, is it good? Good. Because I'll tell you this, and I'll shut up. I'm gonna be a blowhard, and these guys need to speak. But I will tell you this: is we did have a protester from Sandy. We had someone from Antifa that was from Sandy, whose family's still in the area. He was the individual that shot somebody in cold blood in the streets of Portland over last summer. Do you know how many times I've been asked about that individual? Zero.
Really?
Zero. But I'm asked about Proud Boys who do not live in Sandy, who are not from Sandy on a routine basis. Why is that?
They're trying to find
exactly
something to lay off and trigger on you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Did you have any?
We took it all from him.
We stole it. You had to go after Stan.
We're going to start over to Joel.
Stan, move over here.
Any popcorn that I can have and watch that?
Okay. I'm going to start this question now. Now, this was actually a base for a governor question, but I wanted to get the mayor's response of the same issue. Talk to me about the riots in Portland. Maybe just give me your response, your thoughts on it, something like that.
What did I just read today? Homicides in Portland are up 800%.
Wow.
Since last year. 800%.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just the homicide piece. We have rioting yesterday on the anniversary of George Floyd. Tragic incident, situation. The officers had their day in court, but to have continuing rioting in the city of Portland, and we're out on the outskirts. We're in still rural, and I'm closer in than the three other mayors here that we tend to we band together on some things. But it for us to not think that has a ripple effect. My parents live out of state, and whenever the topic of Oregon comes up, it's always Portland centric.
Yeah.
They'll ask wow, how they were concerned, how close are you to this? And I'm like, I'm a ways away. We're good. But it does and has started to kind of seep into the rural parts of our state, rural parts of the metro area. And so it is a concern. It is a watchful thing. I talk often with my police chief about these things, and we just had this weekend. We were all back and forth with conversation about, hey, we heard this. Hey, what's going on in your city? Hey, did you see? And so all of a sudden, we work together, but so do our police chiefs, and that's been important through all of this as well. And so, so I think it's a ripple effect, and we'll continue to feel it.
Definitely. And I want to point something out there that you just mentioned too. There's a lot of communication that goes on with mayors behind the back. Behind, no one sees it. There's a lot of communication amongst you guys, amongst other cities, and talking to people and say, hey, what's going on here? There's a lot, and I've got a chance to kind of see in the other side of the looking glass a little bit in the recent times. and people don't see that. So I hear these random comments about, hey, does Mayor Drinkwine know this is happening, or does so and so know this is going on? And the thing is that just because you don't see a massive reaction online about something doesn't mean that they don't know.
Absolutely.
There is communication going on. There's things moving in the background that aren't always being seen. So it's having a little trust in your mayors that they're going to do the job.
Always moving parts. Always moving parts.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that was put out there so people that have had those concerns know that there are moving parts all the time. You just may not see them.
Oh, and how are you going to see them?
Exactly.
We don't have 24-hour news.
Or
you know, like
or
you
24 hours to look at it.
Right.
You don't have a news crew following you around 24 hours yet.
Right.
Informing you of every
yeah. But people say all the time, like, oh, I wish our local city could get better at communication. And the truth is we all have like our weekly newspaper. We have online. We can send newsletters and stuff through like the utility bills, right? But there's only so many means of communication we get out there. We don't, like I said, we don't have the 24-hour news cycle. And so if you're wondering where your mayor is, we're out there. We just don't have the cameras on us all the time.
Exactly.
Well, and I have a social media page. I know Stan does. I know that you do, and I know Mayor Scott Geiser does as well. And so, but again, how much information can we put out there? And we can put stuff out all the time, multiple times a day, and people will like, well, I didn't see that. I didn't talk about it. It's like,
well, Mayor,
how much can we do?
Can you have your phone out on the job? I'm talking about when you're working your day jobs. You can't have your phone out to keep track of every bit of news that comes in, because you all have full-time jobs outside of this.
Yeah, it is a challenge.
It is a challenge. Yeah.
Well, my favorite is when people are like, "Oh, you didn't respond to that email, right?" and it's like, just so you know, I got a full-time job.
Yeah.
I'm a dad. I'm a husband.
Right.
I'm a mayor, and now we're doing this crazy thing for governor, right? So the amount of time to reply to every message and email is taken away, and we try really hard, but people got to realize that the mayor duty is not. This is not our full-time gig now. We treat it that way, so we basically have 2 full-time jobs, but our time is tight.
Yes,
and that was the big misconception coming in as a mayor. I think somebody told me, another mayor said, "Yep, you'll spend about 10 hours a week working as mayor, and the rest of the time you'll have to do whatever it is you do." And I'm like, really? Okay, well, you know what? I haven't had a week that wasn't a 40-hour mayor week since I started this job.
Right.
So,
well, you can do it. You can do less.
You can.
But that adversely impacts how you are engaging and knowing what's going on a county, regional, and state level.
That's right. That's
and
right.
even to some degree on a national level.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you could.
I
heard the same speech.
Yeah.
Oh, council. It's like 2 meetings a month.
Yeah.
There's you've got a couple liaison roles. It's not a big
the
deal.
truth is it can be, though.
Absolutely.
The job is what you make the job to
Absolutely.
be.
Do
right?
I dial it in? Like, am I reading my packet for the council meeting?
Right.
It doesn't
On
help
the
when you
dais in the
get
middle of the meeting.
when you
Right.
get 4 days to read an 800-page packet either. You know?
Oh, here we go.
I saw his packet.
I think we struck a nerve.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah, that's
Well, I mean, it's a
happened.
lot to take in. It's a lot to take in, and God help you if you've got like a couple subdivisions coming online and stuff. But yeah, no, but to the answer to your question too on the governor's thing and the riots that are happening in Oregon, when did we stop caring about Oregon? Yeah. I lost it somewhere. I remember coming here on vacation earlier in my life when I was younger, and I used to walk from the beach and stuff, and I thought, God, this is a beautiful state. Yeah. I want to live here someday. And that's just what I did. But in that, somewhere along the line, we've lost Oregon, and we need to get it back. And people are ready. People are working hard to get it back on track.
Well, we used to have a swagger, right? We used to have Tom McCowell and Hatfield and these guys at public beaches, the Bottle Bill, where we would see these problems, but we'd formulate these pragmatic solutions that would bring us all together, and we'd tackle them, we'd lead the way. And I remember growing up here, there was something really exciting about being an Oregonian, right? Because you were going to go there first, and you were going to trailblaze, and that was just part of our DNA. Yeah. And I can't remember the last time it felt like we were leading in anything.
That's right.
In recent years,
Yeah, it's definitely been that. I mean, I grew up in the state most of my life. I've had stints other places between military and just life taking me places. But I mean, yeah, this place has a a sense of pride to me, even despite some things going on. But with everything seen going on, it's been hard to hold that pride a little bit sometimes, because you're going, you say, oh yeah, I'm from Oregon, and then they're like, oh yeah, we seen on the news recently, and kind of going. You trust me, there's more than that. It's only a place you can
there's
sit.
more to
In
it
2
than
hours,
that.
go to the beach. 2 hours, go to the high desert. 45 minutes, go up to the mountain. I mean, you can't get all that. You get everything in one area.
So as a kid who, from the Sandy area, grew up in Boring, when we'd go on vacations, people be like, you do the where are you from, right?
Yeah.
And we'd always say, well, you don't want to do the boring thing, so we're from Portland area. Now, we're from Boring. We're from Boring.
It sounds boring. Unlike Portland, it sounds
Because
boring.
every time you say Portland now, you just got to go through
Everything's
everything
boring
else.
compared to Portland.
That's exactly.
And fine, if you really want, you can always say Estacado too.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're on the map now. If you haven't
We'll
heard.
take you over there.
Yes.
Well, but there is a pride in you don't. I'm in Canby.
That's right.
Where's Canby?
That's right.
Well, we're just out. We're about 20 minutes outside of Portland.
That's right.
You know, so I mean, there is that tie, right? I mean, unless you're, I am in way eastern Oregon.
Well, and Brian, that is why, as a local control guy, I support strengthening the state police and some of these resources when it comes to Portland, because the Portland brand is the Canby brand, and it's the Sandy brand,
Absolutely.
and it's the Estacada brand.
Yes.
And it's and what happens in Sandy does not reflect on Portland. But you better believe the stuff going on in Portland can reflect and impact Sandy, right?
Sure.
And that is why I feel heavily we need state intervention in some of
I
this.
believe that too. I'm with you.
Yes.
So, okay, I'll pitch another question to you guys. It says, is it hard to balance all the different opinions and beliefs of the people when deciding on what's best for a community?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a.
It is. It's a challenge.
It is.
You do. We listen. We all listen. At the end of the day, I think there still is that personal core piece, and it does become a challenge. Is it truly is it a reflection of everybody, or is it just the loudest voices? Because it's not always the same thing.
Without knowing it, you're kind of giving me a little opportunity to address something. So I was in the Willamette Week doing something with kind of a debate with Sushia Jayapal, Multnomah County Commissioner, and it came up January 6th, what happened in Washington, D.C. and the riots. And, and the question was asked, did President Trump, incite the violence? And, and I said, well, sure, he contributed to it. Now, I'm getting all these things sent to me. Where it really comes from is this responsibility you feel as a mayor. Right? Mm-hmm. When you have, all these folks from, all these neighbors from all these different opinions, all diversity of opinion, and you want to be this unifying force, right? Yeah. And then especially when you see that there's this flame that's going on, and do you want to ignite that thing and get that thing going, or do you want to be kind of the reasonable, the adult in the room? And I've been a supporter of President Trump. I am a supporter of President Trump. I voted for him both times. I think his policies really did help out our country in a lot of ways. But it doesn't mean that I got to be lockstep with somebody 100% of the time. And I do think on January 6th, as a mayor who's, especially over the last year when we've seen a lot of the stuff going on, the civil unrest and things we've talked about in Portland, and then a lot of the walks and stuff, that's things in your interview that happened with you, Mayor Drinkwine, is that, I think we all feel this sense of being this unifying factor, right? Is we're mayor of our community, and that's just not a segment of our community. It's our community as a whole, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And, I think that's what, at least that's my style of leadership. And I think it's this style of leadership for these guys too. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There's several different recipes, but at the end of the day, the meal comes up the same, right?
That's right. That's
we're all fighting for the same cause. So how we get there might be a little different.
Yeah.
As mayors in our areas, we have a lot of people we represent, like you said, and there's a lot of different views hitting everybody all at once. But I think it's like that meal that you cook. There's several ways to get there, but in the end, it's the same meal.
But Sean, we were talking about this a little bit, and we won't name names or anything, but there's some different new mayors and stuff that are kind of on the scene across the area. And we were talking a lot about, it feels like there's a little bit of a cultural difference between some of us kind of in the more rural areas versus urban. And, and I'm going to take responsibility for saying this, because, which is I feel like a lot of us view, some of these new folks on the scene have a political ideology. that they're trying to push forward. And it's not community based, but it's ideologically based. And I think a big difference that I see, at least in the rural areas, is that, you know, we're not pushing an ideology. We're just trying to push our community.
Wow.
Right? And to unite our community
Wow.
forward.
That's
And
a- that's
to stand
good.
by our small business owners and our
Yes.
nonprofits and our faith communities. You know,
Exactly.
Yes.
that's the difference I see. It's not wearing our ideology on our sleeve.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good representation. I think you put that spot on.
Definitely.
That's
So
awesome.
okay, so this one is more specifically towards Stan, but you guys can also speak to it as well.
Oh no!
Oh, no.
I'm gonna
Give
go.
it to
All
us,
right,
Star.
guys.
You're not going anywhere.
This has been fun.
You know, I'm keeping quiet because I want to hear what you're going to say.
All right.
Yeah, definitely.
Once in my life.
And I know you got a few questions you're probably thinking up in your head too. So
Yes, but
throw-
no, you're no.
throw
you-
them in there when you got them.
Okay.
So if elected
Audience,
governor,
keep going.
if elected
When?
governor,
When?
sorry,
Oh
so-
yeah.
I'm reading the question, but I'll rephrase it.
Thank
When
you, sir.
when elected
Thank you.
governor,
If/when.
Thank you.
what will you do to find a balance between the two sides of the aisle to ensure people don't end up disenfranchised and we don't end up staggeringly lopsided on the left as we have ended up?
Yeah.
Speaking, of course, statewide and stuff. But I'd say apply the same question, but for local as well, for everybody.
Well, what I'd say on the state is really developing kind of this third way of governing, of bringing people together. You know, I'll go back to that Willamette Week article where I was talking about the two extremes. You know, guess what? What happened on January 6th is not okay. You know, the extreme right, you know, running into the Capitol and rioting and do those things is not okay. You want to know what else is not okay? Is the sole focus on what happened in Washington, D.C., on the entire different coast of this country, when we have almost on a nightly basis riots going on, you know, in our backyard. And I think we should be able to say that, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be where conservatives are just pointing at Portland and liberals are just pointing at what's going on in D.C. We should be able to say, this is not right. We've got an extremist problem on both sides. And I think, you know, when you talk about some of this education going on in our schools right now that's dividing us so much, you know, when I was in Hood River, I had a mom that came up to me and she said, you know, I'm not looking to divide and, you know, take curriculum opportunities from other people's kids. I just want to have the option as a parent to opt in or to opt out, right?
Yeah.
And the most important part of that is the opting in. Because if you're a parent who's ever tried to opt out of one of these programs, you know what that's all about, right? It's about being the kid that's singled out, outside the classroom and all of that. So I think it needs to be about allowing parents to have control over their kids' future and opt in. So I think there's a series of things like that where, you know, instead of sitting there and just saying, I'm a conservative, I'm governor, and this is now how we're going to do things. I think we need to say I'm an Oregonian, right? And here are the problems that are facing us, and how can we develop an Oregonian way of tackling these problems?
That's right.
Yep.
Wow.
Quick note here. This came in from our tech team. Apparently, we're doing something right because Facebook has blocked us on our video on Facebook right now. We're still streaming live on YouTube.
We've been blocked.
For this video, the video was blocked on Facebook.
Wow.
For going against Facebook standards.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Where did we fall out of line?
I don't know. But
Dangerous, dangerous.
YouTube is streaming, so we
Yes.
are still live.
Oh,
with
that's
YouTube.
great.
Yes.
Also,
So-
we don't know for sure if we'll stay on YouTube all the time. We're having connection issues with YouTube, so we'll see what happens.
All right.
Well, that's okay. We'll keep going.
Yeah.
right now.
Awesome.
Sounds
Yeah, it
good.
says, wow, Facebook shutting down free speech. Go figure.
Yeah, surprise.
That's
Well,
some of the comments coming in. Right
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, well, let's just talk about this. This is the topic of the hour, you
okay,
guys,
yeah,
right?
this is a big deal.
So let's just, I just want to do a quick recap. Can anybody think of anything that we said talking about bringing our communities together, what's going on here in Oregon, that would breach any kind of social media Facebook standards?
Absolutely.
I
I don't.
can
I
see-
mean,
I don't think
a
we
call
even
for
use
unity
language
is
out of place.
well, yeah. A call for unity
yeah.
from two extremes coming together is offensive now. I guess.
I
don't
guess
know.
so.
Yeah, maybe
January 6th piece might be the to me that might be the kicker.
piece.
But what did we?
What were we talking about? That it was wrong.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That it was wrong to do. Well, I'll tell you this,
Well,
Zuckerberg. Maybe you should call Governor Brown and see who you're dealing with.
That's
We're not gonna just sidestep this thing, buddy. We'll see. We'll see where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind, for those who may have also been kicked off of YouTube, we can host our own video right through our website. we don't have to use Facebook's viewing for it. So
Well, do we still have another question? Because let's bring him in.
yeah. I mean, we still got some questions and stuff, but okay. So I didn't really understand this one. I tried to get some more information on it, but they didn't give it to me. So hopefully you guys might understand this. Someone was asking about what's your guys' stance on the right to repair. I'm not really sure what that meant. I requested more information, but I haven't got it back yet. Does anyone know what that term might mean?
Right to repair.
Right
I'm
to
sorry,
repair.
I don't.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Right.
Well, if you're watching, if you could give us more information on what that is, maybe we can ask about that. So, so let me see if I can roll back up here.
That's weird.
Let's see.
I feel like an outlaw here now. So
I know.
Yeah.
It is a little different.
That's really
different.
Yes.
that's right.
There's a lot of things like I think as mayors, right? Like we take pride in, getting, some buildings built,
Yeah.
and attracting businesses that come in, right? Somebody asked the question, I think you may have asked it, Joel or Tony, just the whole like, what does the mayor do? I mean,
Yes.
we push and we try to get those things accomplished. So now I can add on to my list of things that I've accomplished as being kicked off of Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we
We
did
can
it.
add to that.
Yeah,
That's a
we
big
did
one.
it.
to
That's
that.
a big
That's
one.
right.
Yes.
Let's put our names
Yes,
up
that's
in the
right.
council chamber with the reward underneath.
Yeah. Right.
This
So-
is so great.
Yeah. So, Mayor Stan, what inspired you to take the next step?
Well,
I know you said this 1,000 times.
Oh
What inspired
no,
you?
yeah. I mean, what it was really is I don't think anybody who's been Mayor Sandy or any of the smaller communities thinks, all right, this is a platform to run for governor, right?
Yes, and you said that.
Yeah, but what ended up happening for us is it's been an unprecedented time, and unprecedented times you get unprecedented results, and we got pretty outspoken during the shutdowns. We've seen, as our Main Street small businesses were hurting. We did some rallies with Mayor Drinkwine here in Estacada during the January New Year's Day movement.
Yes.
I'm a parent. Mackenzie and I, we have 2 kids in public school who have, really been hurting over the last year. And I feel like in many ways we've kind of stood at this cross section of just the things that have been happening, right? Where we're just feeling the full impact. And so we've just kind of had a light lit under us. I haven't mentioned, but Mackenzie started the Oregon Moms Union.
Yes.
We
want to definitely put that out there.
Doing well.
Yep.
Yeah, it's doing great. She's gotten some national media attention on that. On the 1-year anniversary of school closure, she did a video where she said the throwaway line that kind of started the movement. She said, if our children had a union, they would have been back in school ages ago.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And so we've kind of hit this wave. We've been ignited. We're in the fight, and really it was around, the holidays, kind of New Year's Day, traveling the state, looking folks into the eye, seeing the desperation that was going on, and really just giving a voice to the voiceless. And it just, it's just kind of been crazy since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So quick message back. Apparently, we disputed the accusation against us, and they've turned us back on Facebook.
It's actually a little too bad.
Yeah.
We
were just getting ready to go rogue.
We were about to go rogue.
Yes.
Let's see
We
what
stayed on our
happens,
P's and
but-
Q's for a while.
The outlaw Backwood boys, right?
Yeah.
Backwoods.
Brother.
Keep going rogue. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So someone gave me a really important question. I think this is going to go deep into your soul. So please answer honestly.
Yeah.
If it's about his socks again, I'm out.
You know it's building up.
It's
You know he's
fine.
building up or
It's
something.
fine.
Here it goes. But you know he's building up.
That's right.
Socks are key.
That's it, man.
Coca Pepsi.
Play this one with me.
Yeah. I didn't.
not even-
I didn't share the answer.
It's
So
not
you
even
get chance to-
close, man. It's Coke.
That's my-
What?
Do you see that Coke?
That
by the way,
Brooks Pitties.
Now,
to our
now
website.
we're in a split household. Mackenzie, she's all about Pepsi. So on our movie nights and stuff, I got to go to the store, and I'm coming into the cashier with Cokes and Pepsis and Sprites and 7-Ups, and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
we're on.
We're covering the gamut there.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
Yeah.
Coke though.
Yeah, Coke.
Yeah.
Coke.
I have a
Are you a
question
Coke
for you.
drinker as well?
Oh, big time.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I hate to go off the Coke thing, but I want to do it. How supportive is your families in walking through this?
Well,
This season of being
I
Mayor.
could sit here all night and just talk about that because
Yeah.
I got to tell you, if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be here today. She is a driving force. She keeps me on track. She keeps me informed. She keeps me on policy. She makes me read every single thing out there. And if I don't read it, she'll read it to me. She is the
He
backbone.
ain't lying. I've met Mary.
awesome!
It is That's true.
the
She's
backbone
dynamo.
of
She's dynamo.
every one of these mayors, I can honestly tell you, and I'm almost betting that their wives or their families are the number one reason they do what they do.
Wow.
I mean, they give me strength. She gives me all the strength I need to make it through a day, another catastrophe or whatever it may be, and come out the other side knowing that we did the best we could. And without that, I don't think I could do this job. I
Wow.
need that. That's my fortification.
Yes.
That's my backbone. That's my partner.
Voice
all
of
the
reason.
way.
You know,
Voice of reason.
when I called your house, your wife did this. Mayor Sean's cell phone receptionist. You can tell she's screening them and being the doorkeeper and the gatekeeper and just really protecting her man too.
Well, you got to understand, those times when we do something wrong and people come after us, she's right there to defend.
That's right.
Yeah.
She is there to protect me at all costs.
Yeah.
And sometimes it hurts her just as bad.
Yeah.
In that, but she will always do that. And
Absolutely.
that is truly the best partner you could ever hope to have.
There you go.
So.
There you go.
No, it's the same thing. It's like, when I first was running for mayor, I think we knocked on probably close to 10,000 doors in Canby.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I think she knocked on most of them. Because and so even here we are, 10 years of doing this, and she's been very much a support. And don't get on social media and rile things up.
Don't underestimate your partner.
She will definitely want to go to the mattresses for sure. And so there's been a couple of those, like, I've had to back her off,
Right?
because she wants to. And she's amazing because she can actually see where I have to concentrate when I type. She can type, talk, reprimand the kids.
And
put
still
me in my
sign me over
place.
there.
Yeah.
While on Facebook.
I echo Sean's thoughts. I mean, family too. I mean,
Family's it.
my kids are. It's a double-edged sword with the kids for me, and I don't know if Stan, you've experienced this as well, but there's been a couple of times, like, I come home. Our city council meetings are on a Wednesday, and if I'm home on a Wednesday evening, my youngest has only known our lives with me being the mayor.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Don't you have a mayor meeting tonight or something?" I said, "Do you want me to go to a mayor meeting?" He's like, No, it's the school. I'm just used to you being home in the evenings, you know, and that's a lot of our jobs as mayors it's evenings. We are gone in the evenings. Like, it's the first week of the month coming up, and I have a Tuesday meeting with my city manager. I meet Wednesday night with my council, and that sometimes starts as early as 6 o'clock or 5:30 and goes till could be as late as 11. And then Thursday is a county meeting. Without our family support, Tony, it doesn't happen.
And I don't think you even have to talk to Stan's McKinney.
Yeah, well,
she's a breed all her own.
No, she is. She is. So she's the straw that stirs the drink, in our house and on the campaign. What's been fun is we've had different team members join the campaign. They all of a sudden they're like not that enamored with this Mayor Stan guy anymore. They're like, wow, Mackenzie's running stuff. That's impressive. I mean, she's incredible. I met her doing campaign stuff behind the scenes, and she's always kind of served as my top political aide doing this stuff. And she's she's the brilliant one. She is so smart. I think the world of her. And then the kids, so we had this deal where we had sold our home. We were about to purchase another home. It fell through, and so we ended up without a home. And this is a couple years ago before me being mayor. And we had to live with my parents for a while, and this is in the middle of the holidays, family visiting. We're all living in this house. And one thing, it's kind of funny is my mom has never changed her room since we left.
Wow.
And so it's the same room I had in high school. And I was a nerd, right? I mean, we got pictures of Gordon Smith, former U.S. Senator, all this stuff in there. And I go to put Olivia to bed one night, and she says, "Dad, can I ask you something?" I go, "What's that, honey?" And she goes, "Dad, do you want to run for office?" And, this had been something that wasn't ever really talked about, that she'd seen kind of who I was as a kid, right?
Yeah.
My dreams growing up and everything else. She goes, "Dad, do you want to run for office?" "Well, I don't know, honey." She goes, "If you do, you should."
Wow.
And so it was really since that moment, my kids and Mackenzie, my wife, that they're my entire support network. They're everything to me. And quite honestly, I wouldn't want to do this without them. you know,
Absolutely.
so.
And never get in a conversation with Mackenzie unless you got your back straight.
Yeah.
She's gonna
Let
rule
me
it
correct
out.
you.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
we had some city councilors figure that out
That's right.
earlier
I'll
this
definitely
year.
keep that in mind.
You know,
Yeah,
and knowing my bestie over here in the fight, it's nothing like coming home to your best friend, knowing that
right.
at the end of the day, that's the person that's gonna love because they've seen you good, bad, and ugly.
That's your
Well,
partner.
it's not just to love; it's to put up with your shit too.
That's not put up with your shit.
That's
Well,
right.
my wife puts up with a lot of mine. So.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, Tony. It's like, I mean, you know, I think with all three of us, right? There's the support piece, but then there's also the aspect of, and I'll say it for my wife, and I suspect it's probably the same across the board here, is that if I screw up, or I've said something wrong, or I went out on a limb without checking with her, oh, she tells me.
Oh yeah.
That's it. Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
really, that was kind of a half-baked idea. Why did you do that?
Uh-huh.
Or why'd you wear that stupid shirt?
But do they ever say it at the wrong time? Well, don't answer it. Don't answer.
No.
I forgot what I was doing a couple
Oh,
times.
yeah.
Well, and I just want to say, and I know that Tony and I obviously are in mayor in that area type of stuff, but it's the same thing with our wives too, and I want to make sure that they get some credit too for the things that they put up with, just for the show and the rest of it.
We've been around you guys enough. They all put up with a lot.
They put up, Amy doesn't put up with anything. I'm an angel. I'm an angel. I'm an
I
angel.
I do want to take a moment here too to plug. They are coming out with their own show on us. It's going to be Backwoods
Woods
Wide.
Wide.
Oh,
Nice.
yes.
And they're
Stay
part of what
tuned.
they're doing is they're going to be taking all of our bloopers from all the other shows.
Yeah.
And they're going to start kind of going over those, and amongst other bloopers they find as well. So
Actually, I have to say something about that real fast.
I want to be sisters, though.
Sisters? Oh!
Backwoods sisters.
Well, they're going to take all of our bloopers, but
Okay.
I have to also tell you this. We were sitting there watching some of your videos, Mayor Stan, and you don't have the vest on. Where's the vest?
What?
Where's the vest? Yes!
The puffy
we
vest?
always
The
love
puffy
the
vest!
What? Oh, I like to wear that vest.
Yeah, we
Yes!
like that.
I think Connor, when he was
puffy
most of the
vest.
videos, you have the vest
When he
on.
was in
Yes.
Canby doing his
Oh,
listening
yeah.
tour,
Drop down and all
I
that.
elbowed my friend going,
Where's the puffy vest?
Where's the
wow,
vest?
Stan's going super cash. There's no.
I love that. So Julie on our team, before I go to bed, she's always like, "Don't wear a vest." And I'm always like, "I like the vest, man."
I wouldn't know what it is if I didn't see it on
Hey,
you.
wait.
Hey,
no, I mean,
I was just wondering where the vest was.
You know what? I consider him a holster for these guns. You know, I mean,
we
come
bought
on.
a ticket. We bought a ticket.
By the way, speaking of that, I do want to point out. After a while, I finally got my CHL today.
All right.
It took like 6 months of waiting or something, but
Yeah.
I finally got that today. I'm a very happy camper. I can finally
To add to your other
There you
guns.
go.
Okay,
Yes,
gotcha.
But by the way, I did get the actual definition for the right to repair. It looks like it's something more along the lines. And I don't think this would be even a state issue or not. I don't know, but it has to do with I guess warranties and the laws behind those a little bit. And it's the right to repair is if your equipment or your electronics breaks down, the right to go and choose your repair shop versus them requiring to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they wanted to see what you guys' views were on that. So
Well, I I work in commercial insurance, and so I support that. I've supported it as an agent. I might as well support it as an elected
the right to go
official.
select your place to have things repaired.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm on the same basis on that one. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, rather than have to send it back into Apple or whatever else.
Yeah,
like that.
right.
So,
Yeah.
Right.
gotcha.
Interesting.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So also I did want to say how's it been sitting under the deer because you were worried about it. You were worried about him earlier. So
Well, I've gotten very close.
It's been fine.
Yeah.
It's,
Mayor Sean?
it's winked at me a couple times.
yeah, that's what you said. So I wasn't sure if you'd be a little bit nervous sitting
was
under.
cheering you on.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Yes, definitely. So let's see. I'm gonna kind of go back and see if I can find some of these other questions and things. We gotta dig through a little bit there. Another one I came up with kind of like the Coke or Pepsi, Ford or Chevy is the other question. Someone popped in
All
there.
right. All right.
Everybody. Ford. You said Ford.
Ford.
Mayor Sean. Mr. Ward. Mayor Stan.
Ford or Chevy?
Ford or
Yeah.
Chevy.
Ford.
Ford, okay.
You better say Ford.
Yeah.
Brian.
Depends on the maker of the
Mayor
model.
Brian.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. How far you want to go back?
Well, okay. I mean, we can go. I mean, my grandfather worked for GM for a long time.
Oh, there you go. You
So
said
I got it. I'm a Chevy guy.
all right.
Chevy
We'll let
guy.
you get away with that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Does this include the brothers too?
What's that? Oh yeah, I'm definitely a Ford guy. I mean,
You know.
And so I mean, and anytime whenever your Chevy's running like a rock, we can throw it in the back of the truck and haul it.
Yep,
That's right.
Yep. I have
Isn't
to say,
Ford found on road dead?
Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
it's also F-O and rebuilt Dodge too. But
Yeah, there we go.
in the end,
Notice that no one said Dodge up here.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Tony.
Okay,
Well,
I got to hear
I-
what the brother is here.
I have to say, Ford.
There you go.
yeah.
Fair enough.
You're
Only because I get a ride from Joel.
Oh, I see how that works.
He wants to continue getting those rides.
Should we get into the nitty-gritty
right.
of the new like electric Mustang? Is that a conversation topic? We
The
want to
electric Mustang.
Oh, this
Yeah,
is
I'm
the.
not thinking that's.
It doesn't
ain't
work
it?
for me. I
No,
can't
I'm with
picture
you.
a Mustang
Yeah.
unless it's
I-
like a 65, 66,
Yeah,
you know?
I'm with you on that
Right?
one.
Here's a good one here. Do you think that the council meetings will be more civil when they are at the city hall?
Ooh.
I personally do.
You think they will?
I miss the interaction.
Yes.
You know, when I can sit in a city council and I can have those questions brought to me and I can see those people's face, I can hear their tone, I know where they're coming from, I know what they want, and I hope I have the answer to give them. But that's the difference. Okay, right now, I'm sitting on a Zoom camera watching somebody, I don't know how far they are or what they're doing. Sometimes their camera goes down, they walk away from it. You know, to me, that is not a meeting. That is not an in-person. That is not a feeling. That is a joke. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, before these virtual meetings, our Sandy City Council, we were 7-0, 6-1 occasionally, you know, and we'd be able, and it's not like that we all went into these issues like 100% agreeing. It's that there's back and forth, there's conversation, there's dialogue, there's compromise. Once we went virtual, all of a sudden we're getting these, you know, these 4-3, you know, 3-2, or I'm so bad at math. Has to add up to 7, but you know, we're getting these. It's horrible. But they all, but you know, we started getting all these split votes, and it was because we weren't sitting there face to face as people and having conversations
Yeah.
and dialogue and
Absolutely.
and having that back and forth. And sometimes, as much as you want to be polite, sometimes it's good to politely interrupt each other in a conversational tone and
Yeah,
way.
Sure.
And this whole like wait into the queue until you recognize and then you unmute and you mute.
Oh, goodness.
It just
I
doesn't
raise my
add
hand.
for a conversational
Yes.
debate of give
Yes.
and take and
Exactly.
compromise.
Right.
That's
you know?
exactly it. That's exactly it. And you
That's
lose track. I mean, when you're on a heated conversation, I mean, we've been in how many heated conversations?
I think
Where if it
I've
had been
started
in
a few.
person, we could have understood it better than in Zoom.
One at a time.
Yeah, you know, by the time it gets to the end of it, I don't even know what we started the argument about in the first place. You know, I think it would be better if we do go back.
And
to
I
in
think
person.
there's going to be a big crowd of people that aren't showing up to the meetings because they don't understand Zoom or have issues with it. That they want to be there, they want to participate. And I mean, I talked to them myself, and they said as soon as those meetings are back in person, they're going to be there because they want to participate. They don't have the capabilities.
Joel's never been a counselor in person yet, has he?
No.
And I don't mean to be mean, but they're not going to show up then either.
Yeah.
I mean, only occasionally, you know, are you getting a lot of people showing up to council meetings, and it's one of the reasons why I like kind of a hybrid feel to this Zoom stuff. We want to keep that capability
As
for
part
people
of
to
it.
come
Sure,
in.
sure.
We had people testify one day where there's literally a couple. I could just see them. They're on their couch, they're arguing over the phone. You know, it's a Monday night, and they're testifying. You know, to their city council meeting, and that's super cool. You know, to be able to do that, but it's
I
a little
remember
give
that.
and take. You know, what's that?
I remember testifying and then
Well-
3 minutes.
Well, we've all learned too, haven't we? Because I remember there were a few meetings at Estacada I think had your chat enabled, and now all of a sudden it's not so enabled anymore.
Things have changed.
For good reason.
Uh-huh.
Good reason.
I'm a long talker. Let me tell you. Yes.
Yeah, no, live and in Technicolor is better.
Yeah, I think so.
For sure.
You know, and
I
so
think
yeah,
so.
getting back there quickly is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, guys, it has been absolutely a blast to have you guys on.
Yes.
here.
This is
great.
And,
Thank you.
We are
Yes.
definitely coming to the end of this time, and I feel like I have been sitting in an oven for the last 2 hours and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's pretty warm in here.
it's been definitely great. I want to give you guys all a chance to something to kind of close out a remark with, and so maybe we'll just kind of start with Mayor Brian here and work our way around. So, and then so by all means.
Closing remarks. Thank you both. Appreciate it. This is a fun hoot. I work in Hillsboro, so coming clear across
Wow.
the Great Portland Divide, and
Yeah.
you know, so using Waze, and it actually took me through downtown Portland, and that was my first time in downtown Portland since the whole COVID and the riots and things. And
I like that Tour de France.
Well, it was disheartening.
It is.
Yeah. It was disheartening driving, from the airport to and from the airport recently, even going up 205, and the majority of that is Clackamas County, and seeing that, so it was disheartening. Not trying to end on a down note, but I really appreciate what you two are doing and trying to do some different viewpoints. Thanks to the whole tech team, this was a lot of fun, and you guys, I love working with the Clackamas County mayors, especially the ones out here on the east side, and there's a lot of good that's going on in Clackamas County, and a lot of it is, and I'll include Scott in that. Mayor Kaiser.
Yes, Scott.
Him
Scott.
being the
Mayor
young,
Kaiser,
newest mayor in the group here,
Mayor,
but
yes.
it's a good group, and I think our hearts are all in the right places, trying to move our cities in the right direction, and it's collaborative for us, and it's collaborative with our counselors, and it should be, and with our city staff. So, just so thank you guys for giving us an opportunity to be here, and hope we can come back.
Yes.
Of course. Yep.
I'll try not to get too emotional on this. So it's kind of funny. As we have our campaign team, we got all these events, and it's really full. And I've been spending a lot of time with you cats lately. I mean, it's been a lot. I mean, we've been playing poker. We did the video thing. I'm here tonight, and one of our campaign people said, we got to figure out Stan's time. Time's very strict, and kind of it's you spend too much time. Where does he need to spend it? And Mackenzie said, what you guys need to understand is when it hits the fan. These are the folks that have Stan's back.
Yeah.
That's right.
And and she got that from the New Year's Day stuff and the business owners opening up and everything that's happened over the last year. Things that we've been able to accomplish together. Things Kaiser's things that we've been able to do, and you guys, she's right. And so I want you guys to know how much I appreciate that, and just how much these relationships in this room really mean to me. So,
you said you weren't going to get emotional.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that puts it all on me at the end, and Stan said it very well. I mean, we spend a lot of time out there, and sometimes it's a lonely road as a mayor. We don't have a lot of people. We're moving all the time, but at the same time, we have you, and you're getting our message out, and our wives that we talked about earlier. I think, at the end of this day, those are the people we have to look to. You, our wives, the team, the staff, everybody that makes this all possible for us to get the word out and to help as much as we possibly can. Because at the end of the day, it's all about all of us, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that would be what I'd have to say, that it's all of you to make this possible.
I'm gonna let you have the last word, but I'm just gonna say here it's an honor to have you three and Mayor Scott. We know that he is busy at work as a reason why he couldn't be here as well as all of you. So thank you so much. Just the atmosphere in the room is, with three mayors, it's a humbling thing, because not one of you are going, this is what my city's doing. This is what my city's doing. It's a collaborative effort. Sure. And you can sense that in the room. It's not just words, it's a feeling. So thank
We're
you.
Oregonians.
You're Oregonians.
First and most.
First and most. And so we really love that you have come to join us. I'm going to let my brother Joel have any last words he wants.
I mean, how do you close out something that's been so great having you guys here, and the words of wisdom and experience and leadership that have been spoken tonight? It has been encouraging, and I know there's been a lot of laughs and a lot of fun with it and everything else. But I mean, the chance to just kind of put you guys out there to see this is leadership. This is what leadership is.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff that people don't see, you guys do behind the scenes. The aches, the pains, the hard work, the sweating, everything that happens that no one sees. I mean, this is, just one way to kind of at least say, hey, this, take a look, guys, see what they're doing. Think of mayors, understand what they're doing, and there's no paycheck to this. It's in fact, in many cases, the cost of money, whether they have to leave work, whether they have to run a campaign, whatever it might be. There's a effort that has to go into that. And so from the I know from all of us in the Backwoods Brothers team, In which I do want to point out there is a team behind these cameras.
Yes. What's the studio audience?
Exactly. And they work really hard. They get here before the show. They help things, set things up. They're out throughout the week, putting lights and everything else together. And but from all of the Backwoods Brothers team, I know we want to personally say thank you to every one of you guys.
Yeah.
Whether we're in your community or not, it's the hard work and effort, and to all the other mayors too that may be watching this, it's a hard work and effort that make their communities run, to help lead their cities, and helps to lead the council and to guide them and everything. There's a lot of stuff behind that, and I know I could speak on my behalf, and I believe everybody that's on our Backwoods team, that we would love to see it when you get into that governor's seat, and to break a chain of just chaos and destruction that's been over here, and it's 40 years of just having problems. It's time for a change. We need a change. And we need to be able to bring Oregon back to the things that we've loved so much, what I've grown up with my whole life, and seeing the great parts of Portland. And I'm not talking about the beauty of Mount Hood or the Columbia Gorge or the oceans or anything else we have. I'm talking about I remember the neighborly piece, the human aspect of that's been lost so much, and even more so in the last year, that even it's hard to even have a conversation with somebody if you haven't seen them in a while. The simple shake your hand. Do I shake your hand? Do I bump your elbow? Do I wave hi? Do I take my mask off? Do I give you? I mean, it's been broken so much. It's time to start getting that healing, and the healing comes from the leadership, giving an excellent example like you guys have been.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know much more to say than that one. So, thanks you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And thanks to all our viewers, everybody watching. So,
Yes.
Wave up there. Say goodbye.
Oh, hey, who's that? Who are we waving to? Oh, hi!
So thanks everybody for joining us. We'll keep an eye out, and then we'll have some videos. I think the next one's being released at the beginning of next month sometime.
Can I just give real fast? The next month is Disabilities Month.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's really awesome. We're looking forward to it.
Look for us out there, please, everybody. It really helps us a lot to like, subscribe, visit our website to get some of that merch and stuff on there and help support it and everything. Share this. Share the other videos. Especially take a look at all these guys' videos. Sorry. Mayor Hodgson. We'll have to do one special with him, but yeah, definitely. And then you might see us on the street occasionally doing some filming, but thank your mayors too.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys. We'll see you next time.
Be good to each other.
Support the sponsors.
Support our sponsors.
Yes.
Yes.